Chapter 1354. 7 Sword Chops the Heavenly Mountain. 1. The moment Wang Lin entered the 7 million worlds through the charm, a net of light appeared before him. This net of light provided protection, allowing Wang Lin to retreat even faster. The eternal thunderbolt immediately slammed into the net of light and a thunderous rumble echoed through the million worlds. The net of light flickered rapidly and then collapsed. The moment the net collapsed, the tens of thousands of Scatter ThunderClan members in the million worlds all bled out from their orifices and died. Taoist's scattered spirit had captured every Scatter ThunderClan member here after Wang Lin left. He didn't kill them but sealed them into the net of light to act as a shield. At this moment, this net of light collapsed and all the Scatter ThunderClan members here died. The eternal thunderbolt also trembled. The protection from the net was very powerful, causing the eternal thunderbolt to lose a lot of power. It was about to continue chasing Wang Lin when an illusory figure walked out. Taoist's scattered spirit stepped out from the void with a mysterious gaze in his eyes, and his right hand grabbed the eternal thunderbolt. Thunderous rumbles echoed across the world. Taoist's scattered spirit's clothes fluttered, popping sounds came from his body, and he coughed out blood. However, he held on to the eternal thunderbolt. It continued to weaken but still didn't collapse. Wang Lin stopped retreating and charged out. His right hand formed a fist and he threw a punch without hesitation. Thunder came out from his right eye, forming a net of thunder. Taoist's scattered spirit let out a roar and squeezed it harder, causing the eternal thunderbolt to weaken even more. Then he let go, and at that moment, Wang Lin's punch and thunder landed on this piece of the eternal thunderbolt. A thunderous rumble echoed, and thanks to their combined attack, the eternal thunderbolt collapsed. A powerful shockwave caused Wang Lin and Taoist's scattered spirit to retreat. All of this happened in an instant. As they retreated, the head elder appeared not far away. The moment he appeared, his expression changed. 7 million worlds. He immediately saw Taoist's scattered spirit, and his pupils shrank a bit. Taoist's scattered spirit looked at the head elder and slowly said, "Scatter ThunderClan's head elder, do you still remember me?" The head elder had an extremely serious expression, and with his intelligence, he immediately understood everything. This Wang Lin wanted to lead him here but feared his suspicion and began a battle. Then he escaped at a critical moment so that he would chase him into the million worlds, wanting to finish Wang Lin off. Instant create. Once he entered the 7 million worlds, he would enter the other party's trap. However, his cultivation was heaven-shaking and was only second to third step cultivators. Although he knew that Wang Lin must have been prepared, he didn't panic. He looked at Taoist's scattered spirit and frowned slightly. "It's you, that ant from back then. If it wasn't for me letting you live, you would have died to the divine retribution." Although the head elder seemed to be unfazed, he was extremely shocked inside. He recognized this person, and couldn't imagine how such a person could appear among the ants in the million worlds and reach such a cultivation level. Yet no one in the Scatter ThunderClan had found out about it before. This kind of thing was beyond his imagination, and he couldn't understand how it had happened. However, now that he discovered it, he had to kill this person. Taoist's scattered spirit smiled. There was monstrous resentment in his eyes as he stared at the head elder and said, "I have lived to this day to break through this world and destroy the so-called celestial realm your Scatter ThunderClan claims to be, and kill you." The head elder sneered and waved his hand. As he did so, he moved forward and coldly said, "What nonsense! Even if the two of you join forces, you are not my match." With a wave of his hand, the world rumbled and endless thunder appeared before the head elder. It turned into countless balls of thunder that shot toward Wang Lin and Taoist's scattered spirit. Taoist's scattered spirit grinned and revealed a hint of excitement and madness. He had endured for countless years, suppressed for countless years, hidden for countless years, and today he would finally be able to let it all out. His hatred for the celestial realm and the Scatter ThunderClan made him laugh loudly. "Today I, Scattered Spirit, will get revenge for generations of my clan that died to yours. I want to kill the Celestial." He stepped forward, and his hands formed seals and swung to the side. "This old man has traveled a million worlds over tens of thousands of years. I have circled the end of the world, and have left behind footprints over all 7 million worlds. This allowed me to gain enlightenment in a self-created spell. 7 million celestial slaughter stamp." As Taoist's scattered spirit's mournful voice rumbled, the 7 million worlds rumbled as if it was awakening. Countless illusions appeared around Taoist's scattered spirit. There were too many fragments. They were densely packed and spread as far as the eye could see. However, if you look closely, you would find that they were exactly the same as the 7 million worlds here. This was Taoist's scattered spirit's great spell. He was extremely talented, and he had used his divine sense to imprint the 7 million worlds into his mind. Then, over the countless years, he refined this imprint so he could simulate the 7 million worlds. This was similar to when Wang Lin imprinted the sea and celestial door into his mind. However, what Taoist's scattered spirit had imprinted was the 7 million worlds he lived in. Even the edge of the world was imprinted in his mind. The moment this spell appeared, the world changed colors and the clouds scattered. The boundless fragments of the million worlds formed a storm and surrounded the head elder. They immediately shrank to form a miniature 7 million worlds. "I awaits." Seal! Taoist's scattered spirit roared, and the fragments shrank, forming a giant seal. The head elder's expression changed. If it was just Taoist's scattered spirit, he wouldn't consider him a threat. But right now there was also Wang Lin, who he dread a lot. Although Wang Lin hadn't attacked, his gaze was like a blade locked onto the head elder. The head elder couldn't be distracted. His eyes were filled with decisiveness, as he was about to use his fifth heaven's blight spell to kill both of them immediately. He felt a faint sense of crisis, making him believe that if he kept being stingy with his vitality, it would be too late. After making up his mind, his hands quickly formed a seal and his clothes bloated up. His long hair moved without any wind and an extremely powerful cultivation erupted from his body. "I'll let you all see the true power of fifth heaven's blight cultivation. I sacrifice 1,000 years of my life in exchange for the heavenly thunderclouds." Thundercloud formation. The head elder's mark shined brightly, and with a bang the giant compass appeared once more in the million worlds. The compass silently rotated. Then the head elder's face immediately turned pale and became hideous. He raised his hand and clouds began to appear from the void. It only took a moment for boundless clouds to appear. The clouds churned, and large amounts of thunder were hidden within them. The thunder moved within the clouds as they collided with each other, creating rumbles, each one louder than the last. This thunder became more and more violent until it replaced every sound in the world. The sound waves rippled out from the clouds like crazy. These ripples were formed by the head elder's thundercloud formation. They would affect the blood and mind of a person, causing their body to collapse and soul to shatter. The thunderous rumbles echoed like crazy. Wang Lin's body trembled and he coughed out blood. His hands formed a seal, and the wind and rain world appeared around him to resist it. Taoist's scattered spirit's face also turned pale as he waved his sleeve and coughed out blood. The blood fused with the illusion's 7 million worlds, and it began to shrink rapidly, getting ready to slaughter the head elder trapped within. The ripples from the thundercloud formation became even more intense when they confronted the shrinking million worlds, resulting in a heaven-shattering rumble. Rumble, rumble, rumble. As the 7 million worlds illusion rapidly shrank, it collapsed, but it also created a powerful shockwave. This caused the thundercloud formation to become chaotic, and a large portion of it disintegrated. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he took a step forward. He raised his right hand and mercilessly pressed down. The moment his hand pressed down, the world in his eyes suddenly flipped. Heaven reversal stamp. Reveal character. Flip the sky to become the ground. Flip the stars to become the void. The entire world reversed and the world in Wang Lin's pupils rotated. The heavens were reversed. At this moment, the illusion of a world appeared and reversed. Thunderous rumbles echoed and the head elder's expression changed greatly. He waved his hand and thunderclouds appeared below and above him as he tried to hold on. Taoist's scattered spirit's eyes lit up and he charged out at the head elder inside the reversed world. His hands formed a seal and 971 marks appeared around him as he charged forward like crazy. Wang Lin's eyes turned cold with killing intent and he raised his left hand. The war spirit print appeared in his mind and he pushed forward. A huge palm print appeared and shot at the head elder. This palm print was like the heavens itself and it contained endless power. It caused the pupils of the head elder to violently shrink. Leo has a cold, with a sore throat and a bit of dizziness, not daring to promise if there will be a third watch today, doing his utmost to get through. Chapter The Wind changes. Wang Lin didn't hesitate to use the earth escape technique to move toward the war god shrine. As he moved, he found fire beasts everywhere. The more he traveled, the more shocked he became. He quickly changed directions. Meeting Lin Tao wasn't his objective anymore. Instead, he moved toward the border of the country using information from Ma Liang's memories. He could no longer stay in Haofen. But before he got very far, a giant divine sense swept by him. This divine sense quickly moved back and concentrated on him. Shocked, he scanned the sky. What he saw were giant fire beasts in a circle with a ring of fire in between them. Threads of fire from the fire ring were connected to the fire beasts' heads. The powerful divine sense came from the ring of power. This was clearly a special technique the fire beasts were born with. It was something they could only use when working together. When they found Wang Lin, all fire beasts' eyes went cold. They all roared as they descended from the sky and charged at Wang Lin. Wang Lin sped up without a word and escaped. The giant beasts all let out angry roars and spat out fire, causing the ground to turn red and split apart. Wang Lin had already seen this before, so how would he let it hit him twice? As the fire came out of the beasts' mouths, he came out of the ground and disappeared in a ray of rainbow light. The beasts didn't give up. The only reason they left the volcano was to find and kill the cultivator that killed their ancestor. This was the only thought in their minds right now. At the same time, because of Wang Lin, these fire beasts now hated all cultivators. They basically wanted to kill every single one they saw. Their losses were heavy too, especially under the powerful cultivator's magic treasures. To be more accurate, these fire beasts don't have souls. They exist in a special way. Normal flying swords cannot damage their hard bodies. The best way is to hit them with powerful blunt weapons. However, there were just too many of them. Even now, there were endless fire beasts coming out of the big and small volcanoes in Haofen. As for exactly how many there were, no one but the ancestor fire spirit, who was absorbed by the heaven-defying bead, would know. As Wang Lin flew more, he got faster. These fire beasts were faster than him when they were inside the lava. But out here in the open, Wang Lin managed to keep his distance. However, Wang Lin didn't feel very well. The surrounding spiritual energy was filled with fire element. Every time he absorbed some, he would feel waves of pain. In addition to the constant roars of the giant fire beasts behind him, there were countless fire beasts coming to obstruct him. More and more fire beasts accumulated behind him, chasing after him. He spread out his divine sense and felt his scalp go numb. There were so many fire beasts behind him that he couldn't tell how many there were right away. If he were to pause for just a moment, the fire beasts would tear him apart. But Wang Lin was not one to be hunted. Back when he was only at the QI condensation stage, he dared to sneak attack Teng Li, who was at the late stage of foundation establishment. At this moment, a vicious gaze flashed across his eyes. He took out a bucket full of spirit liquid and drank it as he ran to recover the spiritual energy he had consumed. Next, a black light flew out of his bag of holding and disappeared. It reappeared before a fire beast and stabbed it. The sound of two pieces of metal hitting each other rang out. A bloody wound appeared on the chest of the beast and it was not far away. It let out a roar as it got up and continued chasing. Wang Lin's expression was normal, but his face darkened. Not only were the fire beasts immune to his GE realm divine sense, but their bodies were also this tough. The flying sword was only able to wound that beast's body, and from the looks of it, it could only be considered a light wound. Wang Lin was unwilling to give up. As he flew, he continued to attack the fire beasts. Using its ability to teleport, the sword moved in a very strange way until it stabbed in between the brows of a fire beast. The sword sunk in and the fire beasts exploded, releasing waves of heat. Wang Lin's hair immediately curled as the smell of burning hair reached him, but his eyes lit up. Although these fire beasts were tough, they were not without weaknesses. After this, Wang Lin continued to control the flying word to ambush the fire beasts. One by one, the fire beasts were beheaded by him. Based on his calculations, the normal-sized fire beasts were only at the QI condensation stage, but because they had no souls and tough bodies, it was difficult to kill them. But because Wang Lin was only one person, and adding on the fact that the fire beasts knew no fear, they continued to chase after him. Eventually, the flying sword teleported too much, and its S-shape began to change. After all, the sword's spirit was simply possessing a new body. It was not fused with it. There were dents on it, and some parts of it had completely melted. If the Flying Sword's original owner were to be revived, even he wouldn't be able to recognize it anymore. Wang Lin realized that this was not a long-term solution as more and more fire beasts showed up. Even though he had spirit liquid, once he runs out and can recover fast enough, he will die. Wang Lin clenched his teeth and changed directions. He no longer went to Xuanwu, but flew toward the War God Shrine. He didn't believe that the War God Shrine would have been wiped out by these first beasts. If he was the War God Shrine's ancestor, he would definitely decide to move, and that would take time. And even if they were going to move, it wouldn't be too quick because there were too many people. He had only been in the cave for a few days. Even if the fire beast had moved on the first day he went into the cave, the War God Shrine still wouldn't able to move this fast. These were merely guesses by Wang Lin. What made him make this decision was the soul blood essences telling him the general location of Xianxia and Lin Tao. The moment Wang Lin changed directions, the fire beasts closed in on him. They spewed lava at him, and many times he was almost hit. He clenched his teeth as he moved even faster toward the War God Shrine. Not long after, Wang Lin felt a powerful aura from a distance. He spread out his divine sense and noticed a group of tens of thousands of cultivators slowly closing in. The scene of tens of thousands of cultivators on their swords shocked Wang Lin for a moment, but he quickly recovered and charged toward the army of cultivators. Among the army of cultivators there were many war chariots that emitted waves of spiritual energy. The fire beast suddenly stopped, and the large fire beast blocked the army of cultivators. The army of cultivators didn't stop. More than, flying swords attacked without any hesitation under the orders of 10 nascent soul cultivators. Soon after, 2 more groups flew out from the army, and more people joined the battle. Before Wang Lin even got to the army, 2 lights flew out and surrounded him. The person in the middle was an ordinary-looking young woman, but there was heavy killing intent coming from between her eyebrows. She looked at the fire beast behind her and revealed a look of hate. She turned to Wang Lin and asked, "Fellow cultivator, which sect's disciple are you? Quickly, say your name." Wang Lin revealed a look of fear and quickly replied, "I am a disciple of the War God Shrine, Ma Liang." The woman looked at Wang Lin coldly and said, "Xianxia, take him to the War God Shrine to verify his identity. If he isn't a disciple of the War God Shrine, kill him." A young man flew out and nodded at Wang Lin, gesturing Wang Lin to follow him. Then he flew toward the army. Wang Lin clasped his hands at the young woman before following the young man. Soon, they arrived at the center of the army of cultivators. The closer he got to the center, the more he realized how terrifying an army of cultivators large enough to cover the sky was. The fluctuations of spiritual energy here had already reached an unimaginable level. Although the entire country was covered by the black smoke coming out from the volcanoes, under the fluctuations of the spiritual energy from the army of cultivators, a path has been cut open in the huge cloud of black smoke. Everywhere the black smoke was split apart, unable to stop the army at all. What was even denser than the fluctuations of spiritual energy was all of the sword QI. It was so dense that it could cause the sky to change colors. The sword QE revealed its might as it clashed against the black smoke. Especially now, at dawn and adding on the fight before them, it created this very majestic feel. Various flying sword and magic treasures shined in the sky like fireworks that were too chaotic to keep track of. This scene was something Wang Lin will never forget. After all, this scene was something that only appeared in large-scale battles. Compared to the collapse of the foreign battleground, there was an extra sense of everyone working together and the need to charge out of Hao Fen. This power wasn't something an individual could wield. It was achieved because the entire country had been forced to move to survive. Only the horde of fire beasts could compete with it. Wang Lin couldn't help but enter a trance. By the time he regained himself, he had already reached to the center of the army with the young man. Xuanqing shouted, "Scout from Lu He sect, Qingxuan, has brought War God Shrine disciple Ma Liang." Would someone from the War God Shrine confirm his identity? Wang Lin's expression was normal. That nascent soul woman didn't act against him, and her voice was filled with the intention of bringing him to their side. But even without that woman's intent, Wang Lin would still come here. After all, this was the only place he could go while being chased by the army of fire beasts. But Wang Lin was a very cautious person, so he was prepared to escape the moment things looked bad. With the battle with the fire beast before them, there wouldn't be many people willing to chase him. As for the nascent soul cultivators, none of them would take time away from managing the migration to come and kill him. Core formation cultivators were the main fighting force against the fire beasts, so the best people to send after him would be late-stage Foundation establishment cultivators at the pseudo-core formation stage. But Foundation establishment cultivators were no threat to Wang Lin. If one came, he would kill one. If 10 came, he would kill 10 without any fear. Leo goes to the hospital with his wife, then directly to pick up his daughter from school, continuing the storytelling upon return. Chapter 1355, 7 Sword Chops the Heavenly Mountain, 2. All of this happened in an instant. Dao's scattered spirit's eyes were filled with killing intent, and he instantly closed in. The 971 marks all landed on the rumbling thunderclouds around the head elder. The clouds rumbled and immediately began to collapse. When they collapsed, there was nothing stopping the heaven reversal stamp from rotating the world, and it came crashing down. The head elder rapidly retreated but was still hit by the force, and his face immediately turned pale. Just as he retreated, Wang Lin's war spirit print arrived with its unimaginable speed. It immediately collided with the head elder. A thunderous rumble echoed, and Dao's scattered spirit seemed to go crazy. He closed in with the 971 marks and shot out with the war spirit print, releasing a heaven-shattering force. The head elder was thrown back by this thunderous rumble and coughed out blood. He was injured once more. His expression was hideous as he let out a roar and stopped his body. There was madness in his eyes as he hit his clan mark between his eyebrows. Thunder is split into 6 types: heavenly thunder, earth thunder, origin thunder, magnetic thunder, Dao thunder, and spiritual thunder. All types, appear for me, he roared. Then 6 bolts of thunder flew out from his clan mark. Heaven was the star and the heavenly thunder was a cultivation planet. It was formed with a secret scatter thunder clan spell. Earth thunder was the innumerable dust and fragments of planets. It was refined and turned into thunder. Origin thunder was the most simple. A cultivator needed to gather origin energy like crazy until it shattered their origin soul. At that moment, a black hole that could absorb infinite origin energy would appear. This was the cost to create origin thunder. As for magnetic thunder, there were special areas in space that contained powerful magnetic force that made all treasures and spells useless. The Scatter Thunder clan used a unique method to give birth to a bolt of thunder every 3,000 years. This was magnetic thunder. Dao thunder was rare in the outer realm. The Scatter Thunder clan's ancestor had slaughtered into the inner realm and gathered the Dao intent of the inner realm cultivators. Then he refined it into Dao thunder. These 6 different types of thunder surrounded him and formed a giant vortex before him. He pushed this vortex and charged forward. When the war spirit print collided with the vortex, crackling sounds echoed. Large amounts of cracks appeared on the palm, and then it collapsed. Dao's scattered spirit's marks were also no match, and were being pushed back. I want to see how you two will resist the 6 divine thunders my Scatter Thunder clan has collected. Die for me! After I kill the 2 of you, I'll kill the 100 million lives here to appease my anger. I'll wipe out most cultivators here to ensure my Scatter Thunder clan's safety. The head elder roared like crazy and pushed the 6 divine thunders forward. Wang Lin and Dao's scattered spirit constantly retreated. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he retreated, and he ordered, "This is your 70% confidence?" Dao's scattered spirit's expression was gloomy and he didn't speak. However, he stopped retreating and his hand formed a seal, then his eyes lit up and he roared, "Avatar destruction spell." 971 avatars collapsed for me. After he spoke, the 971 marks gave off a shocking light and a destructive aura spread out. They all began to explode. Almost 1,000 marks exploded at once, forming an indescribable destructive force, and it confronted the vortex formed by the 6 divine thunders. The resulting thunderous rumble ripped open the void and spread out in all directions. When the 2 collided, the 6 divine thunder vortex suddenly paused. This shockwave was too powerful, and it was no weaker than Dao's scattered spirit's self-destruction. The head elder coughed out blood and the madness in his eyes became even stronger. Taking this moment of pause, Wang Lin no longer held back. Today's battle would end in either the death of the head elder or the death of Wang Lin. His right hand quickly pointed forward and the illusions of 2 deer appeared. Then 10 million sword shadows rushed out and fell down like rain. At this instant, Wang Lin's left hand formed a seal and then he waved it. endless light appeared around him and quickly gathered around his body, forming a giant light silhouette. As Wang Lin used the light shadow shield, everything inside the million worlds gave off light that broke through the void to gather on Wang Lin's body. This caused the light silhouette to grow and reach an unprecedented level. Just after he finished all of this, the 10 million sword shadows landed on the vortex and all collapsed. The vortex closed in and landed on the light silhouette around Wang Lin. Wang Lin coughed out blood, and the light silhouette trembled violently, almost collapsing. However, a large part of the 6 divine thunder's power was reflected at the head elder. The head elder Cloud coughed out blood once more, and his face turned extremely pale. Just at this moment, Taoist's scattered spirit suddenly walked out. His hands formed a seal and his body began to emit a monstrous flame as if his was burning. He chose to burn the origin energy in his body and charge at the head elder like a meteor. But the head elder was too strong. He turned around and controlled the 6 divine thunder vortex to attack Wang Lin, and his other hand turned into a thunder arm to confront Taoist's scattered spirit. However, both Wang Lin and Taoist's scattered spirit were extremely powerful. With them working together, and the head elder being injured, it was difficult for a winner to be decided quickly. He isn't injured enough. If we can injure him once more, I can kill him, Taoist's scattered spirit roared. This was already the critical moment, and he no longer cared if the head elder heard him. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. The light silhouette around him was about to collapse, and once it broke, he would have no protection. This would mean his defeat in this battle. It was too late to think now. Wang Lin revealed a decisive gaze, and with a thought, the wind and rain world activated. I trust you once more. Wang Lin revealed a decisive gaze. It was not easy to injure the head elder, as the head elder's spells were too strong. He could hold off both of them and not be at a disadvantage. Then there was also the spells he could use by sacrificing his life, which was filled with endless possibilities. If it was outside the million worlds and the head elder was willing to sacrifice 1,000 years of life, Wang Lin would certainly not be his match. In order to injure him now, I must use Joss Flames. Joss Flames are poisonous and are useless to me, but they can be used to kill. Wang Lin quickly thought of his and activated the wind and rain world. His divine sense spread out and a mighty voice echoed within the wind and rain world. All those killed by me, worship me and become my disciples. At the expense of your souls, dedicate yourselves to Joss Flames. Gather it for me. As Wang Lin's divine sense spread out, large amounts of Joss Flames appeared from the heads of the countless souls inside the rain and wind world. A lot of souls collapsed. They sacrificed themselves to send out Joss Flames. Those with high cultivation levels gave off a large amount of Joss Flames, but none of them could compare to the ancient celestial concubine. The Joss Flames she gave off was 1/3 of the total Joss Flames. These Joss Flames were gathered from the wind and rain world by Wang Lin, and he condensed them into a ball. The Joss Flames inside rotated like crazy, and an endless pressure spread out. As the pressure spread out, the head elder's pupils shrank and became filled with disbelief. During this battle, Wang Lin had surprised him many times, but the moment he saw this small ball, he was shaken. Joss Flames! You actually have Joss Flames! Wang Lin knew time was of the essence. As the Joss Flames gathered, killing intent appeared in his eyes and he threw it forward. The ball of Joss Flames charged forward, and when it touched the vortex of 6 divine thunders, it suddenly collapsed. The power of Joss Flames was the power that third-step cultivators controlled. The moment it collapsed, the world trembled, layers of space disintegrated, and the 6 divine thunders shook violently. A large majority of the Joss Flames ball dissipated, but just as it dissipated, Wang Lin sent out a crazed will inside the wind and rain world. Destroy the souls! Offer Joss Flames! As his voice echoed, large amounts of souls in the wind and rain world exploded and died. They turned into large amounts of Joss Flames and bombarded the head elder. The vortex formed by the 6 divine thunders collapsed, and the remaining Joss Flames charged at the head elder. At the same time, Taoist's scattered spirit's attack became even more intense. Thunderous rumbles echoed across the world as the head elder coughed out blood multiple times. A thunder armor had unknowingly appeared around him. His body was pushed back and his eyes became unfocused and bloodshot. There was madness in his eyes. I sacrificed my vitality to summon the eternal thunderbolt of my clan to descend on the million world and punish all living beings. As he roared outside the million worlds, The eternal thunderbolt in the Holy Land suddenly moved. The entire thunderbolt seemed to awaken and then left the Holy Land. It broke through the void and charged for the 7 million world. What comes next is what I said I was 70% confident about. Taoist scattered spirit took a deep breath and sat down. There was sorrow in his eyes, but also determination. 7 million worlds, 100 million life formation. Activate! Leo steps out without his laptop charger. The computer has no power, so he reads the chapters using his phone, typing manually. Tears are flowing. Chapter 1356-7 Sword chops the heavenly mountain. 3. Taoist scattered spirit's eyes were filled with sorrow as if he didn't want to activate this formation, but he had to. He had never forced anyone. His Tao teachings had spread over the countless years to cultivators and morals. The world we are in is false. The celestial realm that we have been told of is false. We need to break open the world together to see the truth, to walk out of this world and become real people. This Tao. The million worlds, 100 million life formation use the lives of the 100 million people in the million worlds as the root. As Master Scatter Thunder's words echoed, people left their houses across the mortal cities of the million worlds. There were young and old, male and female. They all walked out and sat down. They couldn't use spells, but a powerful will filled their minds. The wood to break through the world. We are not ants, we are not livestock. We don't want to be captives. We want to break the heavens, break out of this world, and break the celestial realm. I am willing to give my life so that the future generations can have a bright future. The cultivators of the million worlds all walked out from the respective sects. They looked at the sky with determination before sitting down and releasing even more powerful will. We are not dumb cultivators. We are not cultivators that would allow others to destroy us with divine retribution. We have flesh and blood. We have joy and sorrow. Cultivating to be a celestial is the grand Tao, and we want to rise to the celestial realm. However, this celestial realm is fake, so we'll destroy the celestial realm and become celestials ourselves. Countless peak soul formation cultivators who had their cultivation sealed by Taoist scattered spirit, so they wouldn't attract divine retribution, walked out from their hiding places. They looked at the sky with a vicious gazes, and their willpower erupted. We are humans, not random livestock to be slaughtered. We are cultivators, not things to be used by the celestial realm to collect spiritual thunder. The celestial realm will collapse, and the world will shatter. We want to walk out of the cage. The thoughts of every living being surged in their minds and gathered to form an indescribable storm. This storm was the resistance of the million worlds after being suppressed for countless years. It was the unwillingness of the 7 million worlds being amplified countless fold. This power was invincible. Even the heavenly Tao would be shaking before this power. This was the rebellion of ants. This was a heaven-defying will that shocked even Wang Lin. This was not the heaven-defying will of one person, but the defying wills of countless living beings in the million worlds. I used the flesh and blood of my million worlds to open this seal that prevents any external forces from entering. Taoist scattered spirit's mighty voice spread to every corner of the million worlds. As his voice echoed, his power suddenly increased and became stronger and stronger, forming a powerful storm. This storm was extremely powerful, and it was something Wang Lin had never seen before in his life. It was impossible to see it with one's eyes, but if one checked with their divine sense, the storm was like a sun giving off a heaven-shattering power. This storm was formed by the will and life of every person in the million worlds, and it was everywhere. This storm formed a giant wall that prevented any external force from entering. All of this sounds slow, but it happened in an instant. The moment the storm of will and life formed, the eternal thunderbolt from the Scatter Thunder clan broke through the void and arrived. It crashed into the storm in an attempt to break in. A thunderous rumble echoed, shocking the entire world. The storm began to tremble, and roars filled with reluctance echoed inside it. These were the roars of the countless cultivators and millions of mortals. The roars fused together into a sound that could confront heaven itself. Wang Lin was stunned while looking at everything before him, and his mind trembled from the roar. His soul seemed to resonate with the roar, and he felt as if he was being baptized. The confirmation of his Tao became more clear. The eternal thunderbolt didn't break the storm the first time, and the storm became even stronger. The roar of millions of people erupted at the same time. Under the pressure of this force, the eternal thunderbolt was forced back several thousand feet. Thunderous rumbles echoed. The eternal thunderbolt flashed and seemed to connect with heaven itself. It immediately descended once more. This shocking scene caused the head elder's eyes to be filled with fear. For the first time, he was scared. It never occurred to him that such a shocking thing could happen in the million worlds. Not only him, not even the Scatter ThunderClan's first ancestor could have imagined something like this would happen. Mad UV all gone mad. All the cultivators in the million worlds have gone mad. Even all the mortals have also all gone mad. The eternal thunderbolt arrived outside the storm surrounding the million worlds. It descended on the storm a second time. The storm rumbled and countless mortals in the million worlds coughed out blood and fell, but even more people walked out to replace the fallen. Some mortals struggled to get up. Even if blood was gushing out from their mouths, they were still going to give all their strength. The cultivators also coughed out blood, but they were releasing even more will than the mortals, so they suffered even more injuries. Some cultivators' bodies exploded, but the rest didn't give up. Even if they died, they were still willing to continue. They had no path of retreat. Master Scatter Spirit's eyes were filled with endless sorrow as he sat down and closed his eyes. As he closed his eyes, he seemed to dissipate from the world and then became part of the 7 million worlds. At this instant, a large amount of light came from Taoist's scattered spirit. He became the center of the 7 million world storm and became even more powerful. It was as if the formation had gained a formation spirit. The storm roared. No matter how much the eternal thunderbolt bombarded it, the storm didn't move. A crystal sword began to condense inside this storm. The moment it appeared, the world trembled and it floated above Taoist's scattered spirit. This sword was 7 feet long and 3 inches wide. It was bright and gave off a dazzling glow. Fellow cultivator, this old man has used the lives of the 7 million worlds and the world itself to create this formation. It will seal this world and at the same time condense this heaven-chopping sword. Take this sword and chop down 7 strikes to kill the head elder. This is where my 70% confidence comes from. The 7-foot sword flashed and flew toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin raised his hand and the sword flew into his grasp. Holding the sword, Wang Lin could clearly feel the unimaginable madness inside it. This aura was filled with unwillingness and the intent to break through the world. What was this sword? This was clearly the hope of all life in the million worlds. All of this happened in a short period of time. The expression of the head elder changed greatly. He looked at the 7-foot sword, and there was a flash of coldness in his eyes. Arrogant! You read nothing more than the 7 million worlds, he grinned as he stepped forward toward Wang Lin with his right hand raised, and a thunderous rumble echoed. Wang Lin silently pondered as if he didn't see the head elder closing in. The endless thunder instantly closed in, forming countless balls of thunder. They were about to crash into Wang Lin, and even the head elder was less than 100 feet away. Wang Lin suddenly raised his head as he gripped the 7-foot sword and chopped down. The world trembled and a blinding light appeared. This light covered the world and seemed to absorb all other light. It was like the first ray of sword light that appeared at the beginning of time. One sword chop to shake the heavens. There was no sword energy, but countless roars that could shatter bones echoed. The moment the sword fell, countless people died in the million worlds. However, all their deaths were willing, and they turned into an indescribable force that rushed out from the sword. The countless roars were inside the sword light, charging at the head elder. The thunder he had created collapsed in an instant without any chance to resist. The head elder's mind trembled violently, and he quickly retreated. The thunder armor around him expanded to block before him. The first sword strike collided with the thunder armor. A heaven-shaking rumble echoed and a mournful cry came from inside the light. The head elder's eyes were filled with disbelief, and a strong sense of fear appeared in his eyes. This thunder armor was refined by the third-step ancestor of the Scatter Thunder Clan, and was able to resist Wang Lin's jaw's flames. However, when the sword strike landed, he coughed out blood and he was thrown back 10,000 feet. The sword light disappeared and the first strike was over. The head elder's eyes were filled with monstrous fear. His body trembled and crackling sounds came from the thunder armor, then a large amount of cracks appeared on it. Then, with a bang, the treasure that had been passed down for tens of thousands of years shattered into countless fragments. A deep wound appeared on the head elder's chest. It was a bloody wound, and his face was extremely pale. He coughed out another mouthful of blood and didn't hesitate to retreat, staggering as he did so. Leo's speech is often puzzling. What with all the wishing for likes on the video and sharing Leo's work, leading the audience to erupt in laughter, the comments section filled with a lively atmosphere. Chapter 1357, 7 Sword Chops the Heavenly Mountain. 4. The head elder was completely shaken by the power of that sword. He was extremely frightened. That sword strike would have been enough to destroy him completely, if not for the thunder armor. Not even his origin soul would have a chance to escape before it could be destroyed by that strike. What kind of sword is this? Not even the eternal thunder armor can resist it, and I was seriously injured. The head elder's face was pale and filled with horror. The eternal thunder armor was one of the 3 major treasures of the Scatter Thunder clan, and it was far stronger than the Thunder Slaughter mirror. It was refined by the Scatter Thunder clan's third step ancestor and was passed down for generations, protecting the Scatter Thunder clan. Only people at the 5th Heaven's Blight could use this armor. Even when facing third step cultivators, this armor would allow them to survive for a bit. However, the armor was destroyed in one hit, which made the head elder's scalp go numb. He was about to retreat when a flash of cold light appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. He slowly raised the 7-foot sword. Although this strike was extremely powerful, Wang Lin clearly felt countless people in the million worlds die. This strike came at the cost of countless people willingly giving up their lives. This sword was heavy, very heavy. Seeing Wang Lin raise his arm, the head elder's pupils shrank like crazy. His hand formed a seal and pointed to the sky as he roared like crazy, "Eternal Thunderbolt, break this storm and descend." As he roared, he hit his clan mark and released all the power in his clan mark to summon the Eternal Thunderbolt in here. He had a feeling that he would only have a chance to survive if the Eternal Thunderbolt could get inside. Otherwise, he would, without a doubt, die today. He had never before felt such a powerful sense of a life and death crisis. He let out an almost crazy roar as the thunder outside the storm raged several times stronger and began bombarding the storm. Thunderous rumbles echoed across the world. Every time the thunder bombardment landed, the storm would tremble and countless would die. Wang Lin ignored what was happening outside as he raised the sword in his hand while staring at the head elder. The second sword strike chopped down. The ray of sword energy shot out, containing the souls of countless lives, and it was filled with a monstrous killing intent. The indescribable sword energy rushed toward the head elder. The head elder roared, "Eternal Thunderbolt, descend, descend, descend." The clan mark between his eyebrows split in half and a shocking force surrounded him. At the same time, his roar seemed to be heard by the Eternal Thunderbolt outside the storm. The Eternal Thunderbolt seemed to use some unknown method to instantly expand several-fold into a bolt of thunder 10,000 feet thick and descended on the storm. This storm shook violently and people continued to die inside the million worlds. Even the second strike Wang Lin was preparing was affected as large amounts of the power had dissipated before reaching the head elder. Dao's scattered spirit formed a seal and pointed at his chest. He coughed out blood and seemed to weaken, but a powerful force came from the million worlds. This power came from the mountains, rivers, the earth, the grass, and all beasts. The power infused into the storm to prevent the Eternal Thunderbolt from breaking through. The head elder retreated with a miserable scream and coughed out 6 mouthfuls of blood. The protection he had formed with his clan mark collapsed, and a wound appeared on his chest once more. The wound was deep enough for his bones to be visible. If that was all, it wouldn't show the might of this sword energy. The 2 wounds from the first 2 strikes were filled with countless souls of the 7 million worlds. They turned into mournful souls that began devouring at the wounds, causing black gas to come out of them. If it wasn't for the Eternal Thunderbolt, using its might to disrupt the storm to dissipate 70% of the force, there would have been no way for the head elder to escape. However, in spite of this, the head elder was still seriously injured. Intense pain could make one mad, and despair could make one crazy. At this moment, this was what the head elder was experiencing. The pain from the countless souls devouring him filled his body, and despair filled his mind when he found that not even the Eternal Thunderbolt could break it. How could he escape? When the madness filled him, he stopped running. His hands formed a seal, and he waved his hand as he roared, "No one can kill this old man. I sacrificed 3,000 years of my life to awaken my thunder mark and use my third step ancestor's spell. Yin and Yang eternal thunder, appear for me. After the head elder roared, his face turned even more pale and 3,000 years of lifespan dissipated. An extremely powerful force gathered before him. This force suddenly rotated him before him and then formed a yin and yang symbol. The yin and yang symbol rotated until it turned into a vortex, and thunderous rumbles came from within the vortex. A pressure beyond second step cultivators suddenly appeared from within the yin and yang symbol. Yin and yang eternal thunder, kill this person. The head elder roared, and the yin and yang symbol suddenly split in half. The yin thunder that destroyed the soul and the yang thunder that destroyed the body fused together to form the yin and yang eternal thunderbolt. As the thunder rushed toward Wang Lin raised his right hand and mercilessly chopped down a third time. The sword energy was dazzling and contained countless souls of the million worlds. The mournful cries of countless souls echoed as the sword energy collided with the yin and yang eternal thunderbolt. Thunderous rumbles echoed and Wang Lin coughed out blood before retreating a few steps. He revealed a fierce expression as he charged forward and chopped down the fourth time. Although the yin and yang eternal thunderbolt was strong, it was no match for the souls of the million worlds. The yin and yang eternal thunderbolt collapsed, and the shockwave landed on the head elder's body. He coughed out blood, and his face became extremely pale. A third wound appeared on his chest, and his internal organs began to collapse. Countless souls rushed into his body and began to devour him. The intense pain caused the head elder to almost go crazy. He ignored his serious injuries and charged toward Wang Lin. Even if I die, this old man will drag you into the reincarnation cycle with me. However, just as he rushed forward, Wang Lin's fourth chop descended. It was filled with the hatred of the people of the million worlds toward the Scatter Thunder clan. At this instant, Wang Lin's right hand moved, and he didn't hesitate to chop a fifth time. The two rays of sword energy flew one after another, almost forming a wave. Inside them were the mournful screams of countless souls. The head elder was already crazy from the pain. He no longer cared about his lifespan and waved his hand. I sacrificed 10,000 years of my life and collapsed my third step thunder essence inheritance to use my countless Scatter clan members as Joss flames to activate my Scatter Thunder clan's Big Dipper. Spell! The head elder's roar was heaven-shaking, and he immediately sacrificed 10,000 years of his lifespan. The Big Dipper spell was the Scatter Thunder clan's most powerful spell. The Big Dipper spell borrowed the power of the stars and turned into 9 killing stars. The space before the head elder distorted and shined brightly as 9 stars appeared in a formation. One look would make you feel as if your mind was being sucked in. The 9 stars gave off a demonic light and quickly flew out to resist Wang Lin's fourth and fifth rays of sword energy. A thunderous rumble quickly spread out when the rays of sword energy collided with the 9 killing stars of the Scatter Thunder clan's #1 spell, Big Dipper. The intense rumble echoed as if space itself was collapsing. This tearing force spread out across the 7 million worlds. The square the Scatter Thunder clan controlled at the center rumbled and was torn into countless fragments. As the rumble echoed, the Big Dipper map trembled and was torn into pieces. The 9 killing stars all shattered and dissipated. The head elder's body was a bloody mess, and his legs exploded, leaving only his upper body. An indescribable fear washed over him and awakened him from his madness. He anxiously retreated, his hands forming seals as he did so. The flesh on his lower body moved, and he rapidly recovered. This person has the million world soul sealing whip, so I can escape with my origin soul. Wang Lin's body trembled when the fourth and fifth rays of sword energy dissipated. Countless lives were lost in the million worlds, and he coughed out blood. His flesh and body collided nonstop. He suddenly looked up and stared at the head elder. Killing intent filled his eyes, and he roared, "If you don't die today, then I, Wang Lin, will not stop." As he roared, his eyes were bloodshot, and he rushed out once more. He raised the 7-foot sword and chopped down for the 6th time. The 6th ray of sword energy caused the world to tremble, and the edge of the 7 million worlds began to collapse as if it couldn't handle it anymore. Countless spatial cracks appeared, and even the million worlds began to fragment. It was as if the 7 million worlds was about to collapse completely. Leo holds a stuffed bear close to his chest, muttering prayers for likes on the video, sprinkling followers in his shares, as the children beside him start to crave. Chapter 1358. 7 sword chops the heavenly mountain. 5. When the head elder saw this, he lost his wits. He retreated even faster, and the fear and terror in his eyes were things that had never appeared before in his life. If people of the ancient star system saw the Scatter Thunder Clan's head elder, someone who wouldn't easily bow his head to third-step cultivators, acting like this, they would be filled with disbelief. As Wang Lin held the 7-foot sword, he could clearly feel that the 6th strike was far stronger than the 5th strike. There was also sign of a monstrous resentment inside it. This resentment was extremely strong, so strong that even Wang Lin was shocked by it. He had gathered resentment before, but it was insignificant compared to this. The moment the 6th strike appeared, the world trembled and Wang Lin's pupils shrank. He clearly saw souls appear like threads out of the void. These souls were different from the ones before. They were filled with monstrous resentment. In an instant, endless amounts of resentful souls seemed to be summoned, and they appeared in the world. Those souls immediately revealed their figures. There were men and women, and they all revealed vicious gazes. They surrounded the 6th ray of sword energy and formed the heaven-shaking, ghostly 6th strike. This was a strike of resentment. It was formed by the resentful souls of all the cultivators that died to divine retribution in the million worlds. Although they had died, their resentment still lingered. At the moment of their deaths, they realized everything. They resented the celestials. They resented the celestial realm. At this moment, the 6th strike awakened all those resentful souls that had gathered for countless years. They were going to devour the celestial and vent their resentment. When Wang Lin chopped down the 6th strike, the ray of sword energy charged at the head elder as if they had found an outlet for their grievance. The sword energy ray suddenly descended. The head elder didn't retreat much, and didn't have time to use a spell. He was seriously injured and didn't have much vitality left. In a flash, he was surrounded by the resentful souls. The head elder roared miserably as the resentful souls surrounded him and devoured him like crazy. In a flash, his lower body that had just recovered was devoured completely. Even the broken bones were devoured. His upper body was surrounded by the endless resentful souls. His body was a bloody mess and pain washed over him. His screams were extremely miserable as the resentful souls bit off his flesh. In an instant, the head elder's flesh and bones were devoured, leaving only his origin soul filled with thunder. However, even his origin soul was being devoured. Under this intense pain, the head elder had lost his mind. His painful roars echoed and thunder erupted from his body. He destroyed one resentful soul, but more would take its place. It was as if they would not give up until they devoured him. Die, 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 die for this old man. The head elder roared as the clan mark between his eyebrows shattered. This time it shattered completely, and a monstrous force spread out from his body and immediately destroyed all the resentful souls. The collapse of the clan mark was equivalent to the self-destruction of an inner realm cultivator. However, due to the unique nature of outer realm cultivators, after they shattered their clan mark, they wouldn't immediately die. Instead, they would gain great power and would live for a period of time. At this moment, the head elder's clan mark erupted, and his power increased greatly. He formed a new body made of thunder and destroyed all the resentful souls. However, his eyes were delirious and red from madness as he charged at Wang Lin. Die, die, die! All of you are going to die! I sacrifice all my life, all my cultivation. This old man will use the 3-breath spell. All of you will die. The 3-breath spell wasn't the Scatter Thunder Clan's spell. It was left by those mysterious cultivators before they left. It could be considered a Dao spell. It could cause the enemy to lose all vitality in 3 breaths, but the cost was his life. No one who used this spell would survive, as it was a spell that used a life to exchange for a life. Even third-step cultivators would have a headache facing this Dao spell. This was the real reason why the Scatter Thunder Clan could still be considered a great clan without a third-step cultivator. The head elder went crazy as he pointed at Wang Lin and let out a ferocious roar. 3 breaths spell! Die for me! In an instant, an unimaginable aura appeared in the million world and gathered toward Wang Lin. This was the power of a Dao spell. Wang Lin's expression changed greatly. It was impossible to resist or break this power, and it instantly arrived. Wang Lin felt his vitality loosen, as if it was going to be extracted from his body. 1 breath passed by quickly. The gate from the Wind Celestial Realm appeared in Wang Lin's mind, and the flowing time spell activated. Flowing time. Reverse 1,000 years. As flowing time worked rapidly, Wang Lin waved the sword one last time. The seventh strike. The seventh strike was heaven-shaking. The long sword flew out of Wang Lin's hand and charged into void. The seventh strike was so strong that it caused space to collapse and the continents to shatter. A heaven-shaking roar spread across the entire million worlds. The collapse of the 7 million worlds spread endlessly, and countless fragments collapsed. There were countless mortals and cultivators on those fragments, and they all willingly gave their everything. A sword strike that was infinitely close, and even beyond a third-step cultivator suddenly appeared. If Taoist water were to face this strike, he would have to run. If it touched him, he would without a doubt die. No matter how much the head elder ran, he couldn't avoid it. The head elder coughed out a mouthful of essence origin energy, and the body he had just reformed, with thunder, exploded. His origin soul wasn't able to escape before the ray of sword energy pierced his origin soul. He let out a miserable cry and his origin soul rapidly started dissipating. He quickly retreated. Seeing that he was about to die completely, his eyes widened and he let out the last roar before his death. Eternal holy thunder, save me, save me. As his voice echoed, the eternal thunderbolt that was bombarding the storm suddenly stopped as if it had sensed that its slave was about to die. The thunder rumbled violently and swelled into a bolt of divine thunder more than 100,000 feet long. It charged directly at the storm. The power of the eternal thunderbolt increased greatly and smashed down on the storm. The storm that had lasted until now suddenly collapsed. Cracks covered the storm. More and more cracks appeared until the storm collapsed and scattered in all directions. Taoist's scattered spirit coughed out blood and was forced out from being merged with the million worlds. The eternal thunderbolt instantly charged into the million worlds and arrived before the dying head elder. It collided with the unimaginable seventh strike. The ray of sword energy trembled and showed signs of collapse. However, the sword's original body was inside and it charged out at the eternal thunderbolt. At this instant, Taoist's scattered spirit formed a seal and roared. The 7 million worlds has been broken up and my clan is free. All my people, all creatures, we will break the celestial realm together. The collapsing 7 million worlds turned into countless fragments. All the surviving beings willingly gave their lives to the sword and began their final battle with the eternal thunderbolt. The 7-foot sword contained all the power of the million worlds. The eternal thunderbolt was the holy object of the Scatter Thunder clan. The confrontation of the two forces was the determination of the people of the million worlds to break free. A thunderous roar echoed across the entire world. This roar was extremely powerful, causing cracks to appear on the barrier at the end of the world, and then the barrier suddenly collapsed. The collapse of the barrier caused chaos to enter, and the 7 million worlds began to collapse. At the same time, the 7-foot sword collapsed and dissipated into countless fragments. The eternal thunderbolt also seemed to have suffered a heavy blow. It no longer cared about the head elder and quickly broke the void to retreat back to the Holy Land. When it got back inside the temple, a formation activated, preventing anyone from entering the Scatter Thunder clan. It was activated outside of the Scatter Thunder clan's control. Remaining clan members, the celestial realm has been opened. The world has been destroyed, so we are heading out. Taoist's scattered spirit was filled with monstrous excitement. He waved his sleeve and took all the remaining lives in the 7 million worlds through the gap that was left opened when the eternal thunderbolt left. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and the soul lasher suddenly appeared. It shot straight for the origin soul of the head elder who was near death, preventing him from resisting. Leo's birthday has passed. Thank you all for your blessings, your praise. Leo will continue to strive, producing increasingly captivating chapters. Brothers, keep your sharp tongues sheathed, stored away carefully. Chapter 1359 Legend. The head elder's origin soul was dying. His origin soul was injured by the 6th strike and was hit by the shockwave created by the eternal thunderbolt and the 7-foot sword. The impact caused a large portion of his origin soul to collapse, and now he no longer had any chance of survival. What was left was only a broken origin soul, and most of his memories were lost. While he was in a daze, Wang Lin's soul lasher wrapped around him and pulled him over. After the soul lasher turned into a golden light, it could become as long or as short as Wang Lin wanted. The previously almighty head elder's origin soul was caught by Wang Lin. How could Wang Lin let the origin soul of a fifth heaven's blight cultivator that was one step away from the third step go? Just killing him to make him part of magic arsenal was already extremely powerful, not to mention the comprehension of thunder within the head elder's origin soul. To outsiders, the Scatter Thunder Clan's head elder's origin soul was considered a heavenly treasure. However, to Wang Lin it was even more important than a heavenly treasure. It was a chance for a great fortune. I have great use for his origin soul. Wang Lin moved and charged at the gap in the world along with Dao's scattered spirit and the millions of people from the million worlds. After the great battle, the million worlds was in ruins. Spatial cracks filled the million worlds, and the barrier along the edge had collapsed. Storms swept through and devoured everything. These 7 million worlds were already created by someone else. Dust turns to dust and earth returns to earth. Everything returned to what they were. The sounds of the collapse were like death bells for the million worlds as it dissipated. When Wang Lin left, his heart was clear. Although he had only been in the ancient star system for a short period of time, he had devoured a large amount of cultivators and had gained their memories. Wang Lin knew that the head elder was like the king of the Scatter Thunder clan and had absolute authority. Even throughout the ancient star system, the head elder was extremely famous. Aside from the few third-step cultivators, almost no one would dare to provoke him. The Scatter Thunder clan had even sent a treasure into the sealed realm formation, so the head elder was very important in the ancient star system. His death would set off a calamity. It has to be said that even though Tuo Sen had killed countless people in the ancient star system, he hadn't encountered anyone with status like the Scatter Thunder clan's head elder. When a clan was in danger, the people higher up would send in their clan members to take the brunt of the damage. Then the higher-ups would escape with their lives. As a result, the death of the Scatter Thunder clan's head elder would be enough to shock the entire ancient star system. Wang Lin didn't know if the third-step cultivators had spells to learn of this, but what awaited him was great danger. The people of the million worlds had come out, and the Scatter Thunder clan would certainly be destroyed. This was a shocking change. The collapse of a large clan would attract a lot of attention. As Wang Lin moved forward, his eyes lit up. Although the danger was monstrous, he wouldn't retreat. The rumbling of the 7 million worlds collapsing gradually faded. This battle was more intense than his battle against Taoist water. Against Taoist water, Wang Lin had no chance, but he did against the head elder, which only made it even more difficult. If not for joining forces with Taoist scattered spirit, it would have been impossible to kill a fifth heaven's blight cultivator. Following the gap, a bright light appeared before him. Taoist scattered spirit excitedly brought his entire clan out and appeared in the Scatter Thunder clan's star domain. The moment he appeared, 2 streams of tear flowed from his eyes and he let out a laugh filled with endless exhilaration. Not only him, but the people under his protection were the same. Thanks to his protection, even mortals wouldn't die in space like they normally would. They had personally witnessed themselves breaking out from the million worlds and entering the celestial realm that shrouded over them. The excitement they felt was indescribable. This is the celestial realm. This is the celestial realm that has always decided whether we live or die. From now on, my clan will be the Celestial Clan. Since this place has the Scatter Thunder clan, then there should be our Celestial Clan. Taoist Scattered Spirit laughed louder and louder until he began to cry. Not only him, but everyone from the million worlds began to cry. The hardships they had faced couldn't be understood, especially the price of breaking out, which was 90% their lives. This sadness drilled into their hearts. From now on, we are free. Wang Lin silently looked at Taoist Scattered Spirit and company. He listened to their words, watched their smile and tears, and couldn't help but let out a sigh in his heart. He quietly looked up and wished he had the gaze to pierce through the void and see what was really above the heavens. After a long time, Wang Lin lowered his head and muttered, "Did we really break out?" He couldn't help but think back to the Cloud Sea, when he, Li Qianmei, and Lu Yongkong talked about Tao all night. The heavens was the circle. Even if you walked out, there were still countless invisible circles around you. How do you get out? Taoist Scattered Spirit gradually calmed down the excitement in his heart. He then turned toward Wang Lin and clasped his hands. He was extremely sincere. "I will never forget fellow cultivator's help. My entire celestial clan will never forget for generations. As long as fellow cultivator has any sort of request, There is nothing my celestial clan wouldn't dare to do. After Taoist scattered spirit spoke, the few million people he managed to save all looked at Wang Lin excitedly. There was gratitude in their eyes and they all clasped their hands. My celestial clan is not afraid of any request. Taoist scattered spirit waved his hand and thunder appeared in his palm. Tens of thousands of bolts of spiritual thunder flew toward Wang Lin. This is what I promised, fellow cultivator. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he waved his hand and collected them all. This was what he had earned, even though each of them meant the life of a cultivator going through divine retribution. The Scatter Thunder Clan's eternal thunderbolt was injured just now. I am going to attack the Scatter Thunder Clan and devour that eternal thunderbolt. What will you do now? Wang Lin's gaze fell on Master Scattered Thunder. Killing intent appeared in Master Scattered Thunder's eyes and he said, "That is good. I can let the Scatter Thunder Clan go. If I don't take advantage of this and destroy the Scatter Thunder Clan, I want be able to absolve the hatred of losing 90% of my clan in order to escape the million worlds." Wang Lin no longer wasted time and charged forward. Thunder flashed in his right hand and he turned into thunder. He was going with his original body, so he was much stronger than when he was possessing someone. Wang Lin only dreaded the fifth Heaven's Blight Head Elder. The rest were not an issue. If they weren't all thunder cultivators, then Wang Lin could some trouble. After all, there were still 2 fourth Heaven's Blight cultivators in the Scatter Thunder Clan. However, since they cultivated thunder, even though they were at 4th Heaven's Blight, Wang Lin wasn't afraid of them. A battle between thunder cultivators was competing for their control of thunder. Wang Lin had devoured 8 ancient thunder dragons and had tens of thousands of spiritual thunderbolts. Although he hadn't had time to refine them completely, the power of his thunder essence was heaven-shaking, so who could compete with him? Even though they were thunder cultivators at the 4th Heaven's Blight, they were not a match. With the head elder dead, the Scatter Thunder Clan is no longer a threat. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes as he moved faster and faster. Thunderous rumbles echoed as he charged toward the protective formation formed by the Scatter Thunder Clan's 16 planets. This battle must be fast. I must slaughter my way inside to devour that eternal thunderbolt and then leave. As Wang Lin rushed forward, endless thunder gathered around him. It was as if the emperor was traveling with thousands of his guards. This was because Wang Lin's thunder essence was so strong that it automatically attracted the surrounding thunder to gather. More and more thunder began to gather. A moment later, the thunder around Wang Lin was like a thunder lake, giving off endless thunder might. Even divine retribution was only as powerful as this. At this moment, Wang Lin was controlling heaven-shaking thunder. If others saw this, they would be shocked. Even third-step cultivators would narrow their eyes. There was an ancient legend that had been buried by time, and this rumor contained the biggest secret to becoming a third-step cultivator. Rumors stated that one had to rely on Joss flames to nourish their essence and allow it to grow for a chance to open the gate to heaven. This would allow one's essence to become complete and allow their body to completely change. From that moment on, one would no longer be just an ordinary cultivator. However, there was an even rarer rumor that was older than Joss flames. In this legend, one doesn't rely on Joss flames, but on one's own comprehension. They would use an unknown method to complete their essence, break through the gate to heaven, and become a heaven-shaking third-step cultivator. To enter the third step in such a way would make anyone a legend. Wang Lin's cultivation level was getting closer and closer to this legend. Leo truly didn't realize today was May 20th. Leo's already married, not caring about this day at all. Truly no intention. Truly no intention. I'm already married. Yes, just like that. CHIRP, CHIRP, CHIRP. Chapter 1360. Spiritual support collapses. The thunder was earth-shattering. It was as if the Thunder Lake was moving, with Wang Lin as its center. As he moved, more and more thunder gathered around him. It was an extremely shocking scene. When Taoist scattered spirits saw Wang Lin, he was startled. During the battle against the head elder, he realized how strong Wang Lin was. Those spells were like miracles of creation itself. Now that they had left the 7 million worlds, Wang Lin was able to summon all this thunder. The thunderous rumbles of dancing thunder shocked him once more. Wang Lin's expression was indifferent as he got closer and closer to the defensive formation around the Scatter Thunder Clan's 16 planets. As he charged forward, the mighty thunder lake around Wang Lin roared, and the thunder inside flashed violently. The Scatter Thunder Clan's defensive formation suddenly appeared before Wang Lin. The formation formed by the 16 planets gave off a green light and formed a circle around the planets. When Wang Lin got close, he could hear crackling sounds from the green light, and the green light went from illusory to almost solid. The green light turned solid like an eggshell around the Scatter Thunder Clan. After breaking this eggshell-like barrier, the Scatter Thunder Clan would be revealed before Wang Lin. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes, and his body stopped 10,000 feet before the formation. His right hand reached at the void as if he was pulling the endless thunder around him, and then he lifted it up. The world rumbled, and the thunder rumbled violently, and began to tilt. Looking from above, the thunder around Wang Lin was like a mirror, an ocean. At this moment, due to Wang Lin's shocking force, this mirror-like ocean began to tilt. Wang Lin's ancient god stars rotated between his eyebrows and his arms swelled. As he roared, the thunder around him rumbled even more intensely as it went from being tilted to standing upright. It was a mirror that was lifted upright and displayed to the world. Taoist's scattered spirit's pupils shrank, and he subconsciously took a few steps back and looked at Wang Lin in horror. Not only him, but the Scatter Thunder Clan had long known that a powerful enemy was arriving. All the Heaven's Blight cultivators had come out of the Holy Land and were staring at Wang Lin. When they saw Wang Lin, their minds trembled and their expressions changed greatly. Earlier, although Wang Lin had taken over Yufei's body, his origin soul had flown out and his appearance was revealed to everyone. The head elder hadn't returned after chasing this person, but Wang Lin had come back. This shocked the Scatter Thunder Clan greatly, and countless speculations flew through their minds. Every single one of them made them panic. Head elder's cultivation is heaven-shaking, so he shouldn't have had any problems. I think it is more likely that he has used some unknown method or has a helper to trap the head elder so he could come to break the formation. We don't need to panic. We just need to hold the formation, and head elder will soon be back. That's right, with head elder's cultivation level, aside from third step cultivators, no one is a match. Head elder also has many spells and treasures, so he won't encounter any problems. But the eternal thunderbolt suddenly left, and when it returned, it was a lot weaker. The defensive formation also activated at the same time outside our control. The Scatter Thunder Clan members were all gloomy as they looked at Wang Lin outside the formation. However, they still believed that the head elder was fine and would soon arrive. Wang Lin raised his arms as if he was holding the giant Thunder Lake. A mysterious light shined in his eyes and he slowly said, 8 ancient thunder dragons that entered my origin soul in my name, I order you to fuse into one. Then, along with my ancient thunder dragon origin soul, all 9 dragons fuse into one and destroy that formation. Wang Lin's voice echoed across the world. Thunder erupted from his body and rushed into the Thunder Lake. The mirror-like Thunder Lake rumbled, and a heaven-shaking roar came from it. A giant dragon head came out of the Thunder Lake and let out a ferocious roar. This dragon's head was exceedingly large and was covered in green scales. It was extremely ferocious and gave off a fierce aura. It was like the demonic dragon that could destroy the world, and it rushed out with a thunderous bang. Just its head was no less than 100,000 feet large. Thunderous rumbles echoed as the dragon head charged out, and a moment later, the rest of the dragon charged out from the Thunder Lake. The Thunder Lake became smaller and smaller. When the tail of the dragon appeared, the lake dissipated completely. A heaven-shaking thunder dragon almost 1 million feet long appeared in this world. This dragon was formed by Wang Lin after he devoured 8 ancient thunder dragons and integrated them into his origin soul. Although it was only an illusion, it contained unimaginable thunder force. If one looked at it with their divine sense, they would see 9 souls fighting each other. However, one was obviously stronger than the remaining 8 and suppressed them. The 1 million-foot thunder dragon roared and thunder gathered at the top of its head. Wang Lin's figure appeared there. He stepped out from the head with an indifferent expression and pointed forward. With this, the giant thunder dragon roared and charged forward. It charged to the Scatter Thunder Clan's defensive formation with the force of a 10,000-man army. The 10,000 feet distance only took the dragon an instant to cross. Its large body immediately slammed into the formation. A thunderous rumble instantly spread out in all directions like crazy. Popping sounds echoed across the formation and cracks appeared on it. The eggshell-like formation was unable to bear this impact and almost collapsed. An uproar came from inside the formation. The Scatter Thunder Clan members were gobsmacked. Their eyes were filled with fear and panic, but, most of all, disbelief. Your Scatter Thunder Clan's head elder's body has collapsed, and his origin souls has been captured by me. Even your clan's eternal thunderbolt has fled back here, and you think a mere defensive formation can stop me? Wang Lin's cold voice was like thunder as it passed through the formation, and entered the ears of the Scatter Thunder Clan members. When they heard this, their bodies trembled and their eyes flooded with disbelief. Impossible. This person wants to mess with our minds. With Head Elder's heaven-piercing cultivation, how could he lose to this person? What absurdity. Your words are too arrogant. There is no credibility at all. Unless you can request a third-step cultivator to act, then no one can win against him. Even if he were to go up against third-step cultivators, Head Elder has many spells and treasures. There is no danger to his life. Arrogant. Your words are beyond ridiculous. If Head Elder is really dead, then I'll destroy myself without you doing anything. Laughable. Laughable. Wang Lin's expression was calm, and the dragon under him raised its head. It let out a roar and mercilessly slammed down. Even more cracks appeared on the eggshell formation, and it was about to collapse. The thunderous rumble was heaven-shaking, and the dragon seemed to go crazy. As its head slammed into the formation, even its tail whipped the formation. The formation could no longer bear the heaven-shaking collisions. With one final smash from the dragon's head, the formation collapsed with a thunderous rumble. Countless fragments scattered everywhere, and a giant gap opened up. The thunder dragon roared and didn't T-stop after breaking the formation. Its head was so big that when it entered the formation, it caused a large portion of the Scatter Thunder Clan's cultivators to subconsciously retreat. Dao's scattered spirit followed the thunder dragon into the formation. He had an extremely complicated expression filled with hatred as he rushed forward. This person is only at the Nirvana Shatterer stage, but for some unknown reason, he can display the power of a Heaven-S Blight cultivator. Everyone, attack at once and kill him quickly. That bald fourth Heaven-S Blight cultivator is the real enemy. Stop him from advancing. The Scatter Thunder Clan had 11 people at the Heaven-S Blight stage. At this moment, 7 of them charged at Dao's Scattered Thunder, and the one leading was one of 2 the 4th Heaven-S Blight cultivators. The other 4th Heaven-S Blight cultivator charged at Wang Lin. Without the Head Elder, no one in the Scatter Thunder Clan can stop me. Wang Lin shook his head. He didn't want to get entangled with these cultivators. He needed to head inside to devour the Eternal Thunderbolt as soon as possible. The Thunder Dragon below him charged into the Scatter Thunder Clan. Thunderous rumbles echoed, and the expressions of the Scatter Thunder Clan cultivators that wanted to stop Wang Lin all changed. Then they retreated. Head Elder will soon return. We have to do our best to stall them. Once Head Elder returns, they will, without a doubt, die. The Scatter Thunder Clan cultivators' eyes were all bloodshot as they rushed forward. They didn't care for their lives, and even exploded their clan marks to stop Wang Lin. All of this was because they refused to believe that the Head Elder would lose. They were confident that once the Head Elder returned, there would be no danger to the Scatter Thunder Clan. The Head Elder was the spiritual pillar of the entire Scatter Thunder Clan. Wang Lin sneered. As the Thunder Dragon moved forward, he waved his right hand and the Soul Lasher appeared. The Golden Whip unrolled, revealing a broken origin soul. It was the Scatter Thunder Clan's Head Elder. Leo continues to read, "Today is Monday," wishing for just a few more likes and followers for the VIDEO channel. You are listening to a completely free audiobook on the Leo Audio YouTube channel. If you enjoy the story, please like the video to motivate the channel. Support Leo with a cup of coffee through the description link or on the screen. If you want to hear any other stories, just comment and let Leo know. Thank you very much for watching the video. Chapter 1361. Get down here. The blinding golden light was glaring, attracting the attention of all the Scatter Thunder Clan members. When their gazes fell on the golden light, their expressions changed greatly. Head Elder! This impossible. How can Head Elder be captured? Could it be that a third-step cultivator has acted? What he said before was true. Head Elder's body has collapsed. and even his origin soul was nearly destroyed, leaving only this stand of remnant soul. Who the hell is this person? Head Elder has fallen and was captured by him. The Eternal Thunderbolt returned weakened. An uproar was set off in the Scatter Thunder clan. The Head Elder was the spiritual pillar of the entire clan and their ancestor. They didn't believe Wang Lin's words before, but now that they had seen the Head Elder's origin soul, their eyes were filled with fear. Their minds trembled as their spiritual pillar had completely collapsed. If even the Head Elder had fallen, what could they do to resist? All of this happened in an instant. Wang Lin was completely ruthless and merciless to the people of the Outer Realm. When he said that the Head Elder was captured, he knew that with their belief in the Head Elder, the clan members wouldn't believe him, but he could use this to bury a seed. Then he would break through the formation in one strike, and then, at the moment when their minds were all shaken, he would take out the Soul Lasher. He wouldn't need to use it to attack. Just the sight of the Head Elder's origin soul would be like a merciless strike at the hearts of the Scatter Thunder clan. This would cause the seed he had buried to suddenly erupt. Just as Wang Lin expected, the entire Scatter Thunder clan was in chaos. When the Scatter Thunder clan went into chaos due to their Head Elder being captured, there was a flash of killing intent in Wang Lin's eyes. As the thunder roared, Wang Lin waved his hand and there was a flash of bloodlight. The invincible blood sword shot out directly toward the fourth heaven's blight cultivator. This was the ace Wang Lin had set. The bloodlight moved at an unimaginable speed. When the fourth heaven's blight cultivator noticed, the blood sword had already pierced through between his eyebrows. A miserable cry echoed, awakening all the Scatter Thunder clan members. Although they had only been in chaos for a moment, the price was extremely heavy. There was a big hole between the eyebrows of the fourth heaven's blight cultivator, and his body collapsed. His origin soul escaped while screaming, but it couldn't outrun the blood sword and was pierced once more. Even if he wasn't already shaking, this battle would still be easy, because this fourth heaven's blight cultivator was a thunder cultivator, but he wouldn't have died instantly like now. If it wasn't a thunder cultivator, Wang Lin would be in a difficult battle. After all, with his current power, he could beat third heaven's blight cultivators, but would face trouble against fourth heaven's blight cultivators. All of this happened too fast. Before the Scatter Thunder clan had accepted the defeat of their Head Elder, Wang Lin shocked them by killing a fourth heaven's blight elder. Wang Lin's expression was indifferent, and he no longer paid any attention to them. The blood sword flew around him, and the Thunder Dragon moved forward. All the cultivators before him retreated. They didn't dare to talk half a step forward. These people's minds are a mess. Taoist scattered spirit, you should be fine with your strength. Wang Lin stood on top of the Thunder Dragon as it flew toward the Scattered Thunder clan's Holy Land. The Holy Land was in the middle of the 16 cultivation planets. This was the second time Wang Lin had come here. When he arrived, his eyes lit up and he looked at the Holy Land with a solemn expression. He sat on the Thunder Dragon, and his hands formed a seal. His body merged with the Thunder Dragon, leaving no way to distinguish them from each other. As killing intent flashed through his eyes, the Thunder Dragon let out a heaven-shattering roar. There were a lot of Scatter Thunder clan cultivators outside the Holy Land. However, when they saw the giant Thunder Dragon, they all screamed in horror and quickly retreated. Thunderous rumbles echoed when the Thunder Dragon rushed at the Holy Land and smashed into it. The Holy Land rumbled. There was also formation around it, but it rumbled and collapsed when the Thunder Dragon collided with it. The continent trembled and piece of its edges collapsed. The Holy Land trembled as if there were dragons moving underground. Popping sounds echoed and cracks spread across the Holy Land. The rumbling from the temple on the Holy Land became even louder. The eternal thunderbolt inside the temple had been weakened a lot. The moment Wang Lin's Thunder Dragon shattered the formation, a thunderous rumble came from the eternal thunderbolt. A thunderstorm erupted from the temple, tearing it to pieces, and the pieces scattered in all directions. The moment the temple collapsed, the eternal thunderbolt seemed to realize that it was in danger and began to shrink. Then it began to fly toward the endless void. A giant vortex appeared in the void far away. The vortex was covered in thunder, and the eternal thunderbolt was heading toward the center of this vortex. Seeing that the eternal thunderbolt was about to escape, Wang Lin suddenly stood up and closed in on it with 3 steps. He was currently under the giant vortex, and a majority of the eternal thunderbolt had already gone inside it. Only a portion of it remained outside. Wang Lin didn't hesitate to reach out and grab the escaping eternal thunderbolt. Then he mercilessly pulled. "Get down here!" A thunderous roar echoed, and a roar came from the vortex along with a powerful impact. Wang Lin coughed out blood. He was unable to resist the intense power from the vortex. A majority of the eternal thunderbolt was pulled into the vortex due to this force, leaving only a few hundred feet outside. Wang Lin's body was also pulled in. It looked like he was going to be pulled into the vortex. Wang Lin's expression was ferocious. He had done whatever it took, and in the end he had worked with Taoist scattered spirit to kill the scattered Thunder Clan's head elder. All of this was to absorb this eternal thunderbolt. However, at the most critical moment, the eternal thunderbolt was going to escape. If it was escaping through the stars, Wang Lin could chase it, but what happened was beyond Wang Lin's imagination. The aura coming out from the vortex was unfamiliar to Wang Lin, and something in there caused a hint of fear to appear in his heart. This feeling made his scalp numb, like how Taoist scattered spirit felt when he saw the so-called celestial realm for the first time. "This eternal thunderbolt I have my eyes on, no one can steal it from me. I'll kill celestials and gods if they try." There was a defying will in Wang Lin's heart, and after experiencing the defying will of the countless people in the million worlds, he wouldn't allow whatever was on the other side of the vortex to steal from him. "Ancient god body, expand!" As Wang Lin held on to the eternal thunderbolt being pulled away, the ancient god stars between his eyebrows rotated rapidly. In an instant, he grew to almost 10,000 feet tall into his true ancient god body. A 10,000-foot ancient god had heaven-shattering power. Wang Lin's arms also grew. The blood in his body circulated rapidly, and his heart beat faster to increase blood flow. This gave him even more power. The ancient stars formed a storm as they rotated between his eyebrows. Ancient god aura surged through every inch of his body, forming an indescribable storm. This storm fused with his heartbeat, forming a heaven-shaking roar. All of this created an explosive force in Wang Lin's face. The veins on his face swelled as he viciously pulled down. "Come down!" Thunderous rumbles echoed violently, and Wang Lin's body retreated like crazy. He forcibly pulled the eternal thunderbolt 1,000 feet out from the vortex. Another powerful force came out from the vortex, holding onto the thunderbolt, and began battling Wang Lin. "I won't allow anyone to steal from me." Wang Lin had a ferocious expression as every part of his body moved and his heart beat at an earth-shattering rate. The stars between his eyebrows were rotating so fast that it was impossible to see them clearly. It was even impossible to see them clearly with divine sense. An even more powerful ancient god aura came from his body, and the world trembled. A faint angry roar came from the vortex. With this pull, the eternal thunderbolt was pulled out a few thousand more feet by Wang Lin. This scene caused the countless Scatter ThunderClan cultivators to become gobsmacked. A muffled voice came out from the vortex, and even the entire ancient star system seemed to tremble before it. "Let go at once. This is not something one person can own. If you continue, I'll kill you." At this moment, the countless people in the ancient star system heard this voice. Inside the Blue Silk clan on Mount Blue, Li Qianmei calmly looked into the distance. There was confusion and struggle in her eyes. It was as if a memory she couldn't cut off or forget was slowly awakening. Tao Master Blue Dream beside her let out a sigh and stopped playing the zither. He was about to speak when his expression suddenly changed. He rushed out from the house. His eyes became cold and he stared at the endless starry sky. "Leo has a nasal inflammation and a cold again. My nose is just like a running faucet. Frustrated." Chapter 1362. Earth Escape, Thunder Refining. The sign that the ancient imperial concubine had predicted has appeared. Tao Master Blue Dream's expression was gloomy as he looked up into the void. His gaze seemed to be able to penetrate the void. At this instant, not only Tao Master Blue Dream, but the expressions of almost all the third-step cultivators changed. They looked up at the sky with extremely gloomy expressions. Part of the ancient celestial realm existed within the ancient star system, though few people knew of this. Inside it were a few women, and they all opened their eyes and looked up. Within the ancient star system there was a huge figure quickly moving through space. It was Tuosen. His eyes were red, and his right hand was repeatedly hammering the spot between his eyebrows, creating thunderous rumbles that spread far and wide. You want to make a god a slave? What a dream! I am a noble god and you a mere cultivator that wants to take over my soul. What wishful thinking. Get the hell out of here! Get the hell out of here! There was madness in Tuo Sen's eyes and voice. Tuo Sen suddenly stopped and turned around, and his bloodshot eyes stared into the starry sky. The aura of my clan. This aura is very, very familiar. I vaguely know him. No, it was Tusi who knew him. The voice echoed in Wang Lin's ears like a thunderous rumble, but his hands held the eternal thunderbolt tightly. Not only did he loosen his hands, he mercilessly pulled the eternal thunderbolt once more. What a joke. Why should I let go just because you retelling me to? This eternal thunderbolt belongs to me. If you continue to be stubborn, don't blame me for being ruthless. The muffled sound from inside the vortex became a roar, as if Wang Lin's refusal had angered the mysterious existence. Thunder swam around the vortex and rotated rapidly as if something was going to charge out. Wang Lin could clearly feel this anger, and his eyes turned cold. Anger. If my fire essence was complete, I could make you suffer just from that anger. Even if you didn't die, you would be seriously injured. Wang Lin held the eternal thunderbolt and mercilessly pulled down while the ancient god power surged through him. The eternal thunderbolt was almost pulled completely out of the vortex. The roar from the vortex became even more intense. Although it was pulling as well, it was obvious it couldn't compared to Wang Lin's ancient god power. Traitor of the void extinction Tao, evil remnant of the descendants of the ancient gods, if not for the fact I'm very familiar with the aura around your body, I would have long destroyed you. Since you're looking for death, I'll comply with your wish, the thunderous voice in the vortex said. The thunder at the center of the vortex collapsed and turned into black gas. The gas formed two giant hands that tore the vortex from both sides. In an instant, the vortex was ripped open by this pair of giant hands. The gap ripped open by the vortex was completely dark and it was impossible to see what was inside, except for the rough arms that were coming out. The moment the arms appeared, space itself began to collapse as if it shouldn't exist in this world. Wang Lin felt as if he had been struck by lightning and his eyes turned bloodshot. He seemed to recognize that arm. He recognized these arms because he had seen one a long time ago. He had fought against it over 1,000 years ago in an unforgettable battle. At that time, he didn't know much about cultivation or the secrets of the inner and outer realms. He was still ignorant. However, after experiencing more than 1,000 years, every time he thought about what happened back then, he would be shaken. A sense of madness came from Wang Lin's body. He stared at the arms and let out a miserable cry. It's you, the one who stole Wan Er's soul from me back on planet Suzaku. Messenger of the heavens. Wang Lin rarely let out roars, but right now he was mad like a beast, and anyone who saw him would be shaken. A cold snort came from the vortex, and then an arm mercilessly reached for Wang Lin. There were thunder and lightning surrounding the arm, making it seem as if the arm itself was thunder. It descended like a bolt of thunder and instantly reached toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin was already crazy. In his whole life, he had one bottom line. Anything to do with Li Muan was enough to make him go from absolutely calm to completely insane. At this moment, he didn't hesitate to let go of the eternal thunderbolt and charge at the arm. As he moved, the ancient god power in his body rumbled and his cultivation raged. A giant ancient god silhouette appeared behind him, giving off a powerful pressure that suppressed space itself. This is 2C. A shocking voice came from the vortex. Fire! Wang Lin's eyes were filled with endless madness as he raised his left hand. Blue fire appeared from his left eye and immediately erupted from his body. A blue vermilion bird appeared and let out a cry. As it cried, the blue fire immediately spread, and in an instant, a sea of fire covered the area. Thunder! Wang Lin's right eye flashed, and so did the thunder mark. The giant dragon under him coiled around him, and the vermilion bird and the dragon crossed. A shocking spell of thunder and fire appeared. Battle! Wang Lin roared as the blood sword appeared and instantly grew to 1,000 feet. Wang Lin grasped the sword in his hand. The moment he grabbed the blood sword, the ancient god silhouette raised its hands. There was a flash of bloodlight, and a 10,000-foot blood sword appeared in its hands. At this moment, Wang Lin's ancient god power entered the blood sword. The sea of blue fire surged into the blood sword. Even the blue vermilion bird became part of the blood sword. At the same time, the thunder dragon suddenly entered Wang Lin's body. Wang Lin's body was like a black hole, absorbing the entire thunder dragon. Then, he redirected the power of the thunder dragon into the blood sword. The fusion of thunder and fire, the eruption of ancient god power, and the battle intent erupting from the Star of Law caused Wang Lin to mercilessly chop down as the hand reached forward. The world rumbled, an unimaginable ripple spread, and the Holy Land below them shattered. The 16 planets were all affected by this impact and were pushed away, changing their trajectories. This sword pierced the heavens. The bloodlight was blinding and became the only light source around. The hand that had reached toward Wang Lin trembled, and a line of blood appeared around the wrist of the hand. One strike caused the hand to detach from the arm, and blood sprayed everywhere. A muffled scream came from the vortex, and the arm withdrew back to the vortex. However, as it retreated, the blood sword charged once more at the giant vortex. The strike caused the vortex to rumble, but it wasn't damage. Instead, the strike had caused it to rotate even faster due to a powerful force hitting it. The arm retreated back and the vortex disappeared as if it never existed. Just as it was about to disappear, Wang Lin stepped forward with the blood sword and charged forward with bloodshot eyes. Even though the sword was invincible, no matter how much Wang Lin struck it, the vortex wasn't affected at all. He watched the vortex slowly disappear and heard the angry roar that came from within. "Why do you have that sword?" That sword, the voice dissipated, and the vortex gradually disappeared. Wang Lin's last strike descended right as the vortex disappeared and missed. "I don't care who you are or where you come from, but one day I'll break open the heavens and find you all. Back then, before my cultivation was complete, you took my wife's soul and caused her to be in her current state. I'll not let this vendetta go." Wang Lin's expression was ferocious. This was the first time he had become angry since coming to the ancient star system. All this happened too fast for anyone to react, too fast for the eternal thunderbolt to enter the vortex. The vortex had disappeared, leaving the eternal thunderbolt with no place to run. Wang Lin suddenly turned around and stared at the eternal thunderbolt. After being injured by the sword in the million worlds, it was extremely weak. Then just now, it was affected by the shockwave of Wang Lin's madness. The moment Wang Lin looked at it, it rapidly retreated as if it had intelligence. "Where are you running to?" Wang Lin was still filled with killing intent as he used spatial bending to appear before the eternal thunderbolt. His right hand reached out mercilessly. Thunderous rumbles came from the eternal thunderbolt. It stopped running and instead charged at Wang Lin. However, Wang Lin immediately seized it with his right hand, and the eternal thunderbolt began to struggle. Wang Lin immediately opened his mouth to devour it. The eternal thunderbolt was instantly devoured by him. "Refine this eternal thunderbolt. Refine the 8 thunder dragons, take all of the head elder's accompanying thunder, and my thunder essence will be complete. My cultivation level will increase." Wang Lin had cut off the hand of the messenger of the heavens. Although the messenger of heavens had still not shown itself, it was far stronger than the one Wang Lin had encountered on planet Suzaku. However, Wang Lin had still cut off its hand using his thunder, fire, battle intent, and blood sword and forced it to retreat. After taking the eternal thunderbolt, Wang Lin suppressed the madness and sorrow that had surfaced due to the appearance of the messenger of the heavens. He waved his sleeve, and the palm of the messenger of the heavens fell before him. After the palm was cut off, it was no longer flesh and blood. It was now a palm-shaped crystal that gave off a bright glow. After looking at it, Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. This palm was lacking a palm print. All human hands have palm prints. No matter how high one's cultivation level was, they wouldn't chose to destroy their palm print. Could it be that the messengers of the heavens all don't have palm prints? Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he put the stone palm in his storage space. He looked around at the scattered Thunder Clan members that didn't dare to get close. Wang Lin withdrew his gaze and he was about to leave. As for the cleanup, Taoist scattered spirit would do the rest. None of this was related to Wang Lin anymore. Just as Wang Lin was about to leave, a person charged out from the distance after hesitating for a long time. Starlight surrounded him, and there was an awe-like object under his feet as he flew toward Wang Lin. Master, do you still remember me?" The cultivator's body trembled. When he uttered these words, it was the same as betraying the Scatter Thunder clan. Although the clan was facing a crisis, he could still be killed by his clan first. However, thanks to the determination in his heart, he didn't have time to think too much about it. Damn it, a person has to make a decision in their life. This will all depend on my luck. If I stay, I lel D, so I lel follow master even if I am betraying my clan. I don't care. Wang Lin stopped and turned around with a cold gaze. His gaze landed in the cultivator's eyes. This person trembled as he clenched his teeth and quickly said, "Master, I am Zhong Big Red." Zhong as in Little Zhong. Red as in Little Red. I am Zhong Big Red, master. Master for a day, master for life. Master, don't leave me. I am willing to serve master for the rest of my life and never betray you. Wang Lin's expression was still cold as he slowly said, "You want to come with me?" Zhong Big Red quickly flew out further so he wouldn't be killed by his own clan. After he heard Wang Lin's words, he quickly nodded and said, "Master, as long as you let this little one follow, I'll do whatever master asks. Whether it is setting fire or stealing, I am proficient in anything. I'm no worse than that Shu Li Guo master. Please give me a chance, master." Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he looked at Zhong Big Red. Then he turned around and waved his sleeves. A wind wrapped around Zhong Big Red and put him into Wang Lin's storage space to accompany Shu Li Guo. He then took a step and crossed an immeasurable distance to appear where Taoist Scattered Spirit was battling the Scatter Thunder Clan's Heaven's Blight cultivators. Spells filled the area. When Wang Lin appeared, his eyes glowed red. His G-realm shot out as red lightning, and it was simply too fast. It drilled into the head of a first Heaven's Blight cultivator, causing his origin soul to collapse. Then it entered a second Heaven's Blight cultivator, causing his head to explode. Fellow cultivators Scattered Spirit, take care of yourself. I am leaving. Wang Lin took another step as he withdrew his G-realm and disappeared without a trace. He had appeared and instantly killed 2 people. This terrified the people battling Taoist Scattered Spirit. Taoist Scattered Spirit laughed out loud. "Brother Wang, take care. This old man believes we will meet again someday. When we meet again, you will be surprised." Wang Lin's voice came from the void as he left the Scatter Thunder Clan domain. Surprised, Taoist Scattered Spirit was puzzled, but he didn't think too much as he began exacting revenge against the Scatter Thunder Clan. Wang Lin quickly moved through the ancient star system and his aura quickly withdrew until there was nothing left. He was like a mortal, and his 5 essences were intertwined so that his aura wouldn't reveal itself at all. A third step cultivator should be able to find me easily, but since I have 5 essences covering my aura, I just need to find a place with a lot of people. If someone is really looking for me, I should be able to hide for a while. Right now I need to quickly refine the thunder. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and he used spatial bending several times before appearing above a cultivation planet. This cultivation planet belonged to a small clan of the ancient star system. It was filled with mortals, and the capital was especially full of people. The streets were bustling, and there was no less than 10 million people in this city. When he appeared, his hair turned black and was tied up. He was dressed in white and had a fan in his hand like a scholar as he stepped into the strange, mortal world. The street was filled with people. Men and women didn't avoid each other with suspicion like they did on planet Suzaku. They all dressed gracefully and were very lively. There were also stalls on the side, though only a few had open seats, and a lot of people were gathered. Wang Lin even heard someone reading when he passed by a restaurant. As for the Xianxia sect as Xu Yuhuan, he had a strange personality and loved to move through the mortal world. There are countless rumors of his adventures, and that's how he met his cultivation partner. Chu Ux1, what we all talk about today is how these 2 celestials met. The story will be glamorous and incomparable, so all of you, listen well. Wang Lin smiled. The mortal cities of the ancient star system were interesting. It was incredible for mortals to talk about cultivators, even if most of it was made up. However, this showed that the mortals here were not unfamiliar with cultivators. The moment he entered this city, Wang Lin could tell that there were many cultivators here without spreading out his divine sense. There was even a male and a female cultivator in the restaurant listening intently to the story. There were nearly 100 cultivators in the eastern part of the capital. It's better this way, as it makes the life force more chaotic here. Thanks to my essences helping me hide, I should be fine for a short period of time. It should be enough time for me to refine the eternal thunderbolt into my origin soul. I wonder how much my cultivation level will increase as Wang Lin calmly walked toward the restaurant. These past few days without wishing for likes on the VIDEO, the like button for the VIDEO has quickly fallen to 10th. Urgently wishing for you readers to flip through and see if there's a like button for the VIDEO left unpressed. Chapter 1363. Long Silence. The mortal capital was very large, and the population was dense. More people lived on the west side than the other three sides. Wang Lin also gradually learned that the people here didn't use silver and gold as money like on planet Suzaku. There was a thing called mortal crystals that was like silver and gold for mortals, depending on the size. Mortal crystals were useless to cultivators, but due to their rarity and beauty, they were used as money by mortals. With Wang Lin's cultivation level, it was very easy to obtain them. He was inside the capital when a portion of his origin soul left his body and went underground. No one noticed him as he found a vein of mortal crystals hidden underground. He circled around it and refined a portion of the vein. When that portion of his origin soul returned, there was a large amount of mortal crystals inside his storage space. As he walked through the city, he didn't use any spells and gradually arrived at the western part of the city. There were endless houses here, and the street was in shambles. Even the houses looked old and worn, as if they hadn't been maintained for a long time. However, there was something very strange about them. Almost every house had a branch of leaves hanging below the roof. It seemed to be the unique custom of this place. The people walking here all had simple clothes and walked quickly. Wang Lin's arrival didn't attract the attention of any of the people. After looking around, he easily found some houses for sale. After finding a very dense location, Wang Lin bought a house. This house was in the middle of the street, and there was a big tree outside. There was a noodle stand under the tree, and it sold rice wine as well. Poor families couldn't afford to go to restaurants to drink, so they just ate a bowl of noodle and a cup of rice wine to fill their stomachs. Dusk arrived and the sky dimmed. It was time for dinner. The families here were very lively as they talked to each other and laughed loudly. There were children playing on the street and throwing small stones around. Wang Lin was sitting at the door of his house and smiled as he watched everything. When he bought the house, a lot of the neighbors had come to talk to him. Wang Lin was very kind to them, and most of them had learned that Wang Lin was a student here for the exam. He couldn't afford to live in an inn, so he had bought a house here to study for the exam next year. As the sky gradually darkened, the tired works returned home and everything quieted down. Moonlight gradually appeared. The man under the tree watched his two workers packing up the stall. He had a pipe in his hand as he took a step and looked at Wang Lin looking at the sky not far away. He picked up a jug of wine and walked toward Wang Lin. "Little child, the night is cold. Here is a jug of rice wine for you. Drink a bit of it late in the night while studying to warm your body. If you become rich later, you can pay me back." He gave the jug to Wang Lin before leaving with his two workers. Wang Lin held the jug and found that it was still half full. He smiled at the direction the old man towards and his heart felt calm. Compared to the cruel cultivation world, Wang Lin preferred this more. The moonlight gradually became stronger and the cold wind gradually arrived. The wind reverberated across the street and the leaves hanging from the houses began to rattle. This wind was very cold and it integrated with the rain, making the rain even colder. The small rocks on the street were blown away by the wind and dust was kicked up. This made it seem like everything was covered in fog. Every household had already lit up the oil lamps. Light leaked out of their windows, giving the area a certain charm. Wang Lin took the jug of rice wine and looked around before heading back inside. The house was very simple but very clean. The moment the door closed, the sound of the wind was cut off as if it was in another world. It was almost inaudible. After lighting up the lamp, the flickering light made the house seem a lot warmer than before, hiding the darkness from before in a corner. "Even my mind has calmed down in this place." Wang Lin put the wine jug next to the oil lamp and sat down. He took a deep breath and slowly closed his eyes. The moment he closed his eyes, his origin soul started working rapidly, forming a powerful force. It was like a storm inside his origin soul, but none of it could be detected by anyone outside. Wang Lin was calmly sitting there, but the fire on the oil lamp seemed to move. Wang Lin's figure under the fire began to twist. There was a shocking scene inside Wang Lin's mind. 8 ancient thunder dragons roared like crazy in an attempt to charge out of his origin soul. However, his origin soul was like a cage, and no matter how much they tried, they couldn't even shake it. Even with Wang Lin's cultivation level, it wouldn't be easy to refine and absorb the 8 ancient thunder dragons. However, aside from the thunder essence, he also had a fire essence. As the 8 ancient thunder dragons struggled, blue fire appeared in his origin soul and surrounded the ancient thunder dragons. After the fire had locked the 8 ancient thunder dragons down, it began to refine them. The vermilion bird circled the 8 ancient thunder dragons and would sometimes spit out fire to increase its power while refining them. Wang Lin's origin soul was already made of half an ancient thunder dragon. Thunder filled his origin soul, and a 9th ancient thunder dragon made up of his origin soul appeared. It circled the 8 ancient thunder dragons, waiting for the chance to devour them. Time slowly passed. The 8 ancient thunder dragons let out miserable cries inside the blue fire. These cries were completely isolated within the origin soul, and none of it came out. Wang Lin's house was completely silent, just like everyone else's. As late night arrived, the lights from the houses extinguished one by one. Almost all the houses on the west side were extinguished, aside from a few. A faint sound came from outside the houses and gradually became louder until it broke the silence, but it wasn't too intrusive. "The cold wave is coming. Close the door and turn off the light." A voice slowly came and slowly went, and then the silence returned. However, the moment that person left, Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes, and they shined brightly. His hand reached out, and the jug of wine flew into his hand. He took a big drink. The spicy wine entered his abdomen and heat filled his body, leaving a hint of spiciness in his mouth. Then Wang Lin closed his eyes again. His origin energy surged, and even more fire appeared in his origin soul. The power of fire entered his origin soul and made the sea of fire even more monstrous. It refined the wine until only its essence remained. The essence was moved toward the sea of fire that was refining the 8 ancient thunder dragons. During this period of time, the sea of fire erupted and began to burn even more. As the fire raged, one of the 8 ancient thunder dragons began to scream miserably. The ancient thunder dragon trembled and suddenly collapsed. The moment it collapsed, the 9th ancient thunder dragon formed by Wang Lin's origin soul charged in like a bolt of thunder and inhaled. The collapsed ancient thunder dragon soul had lost all resistance after being thoroughly refined by Wang Lin. Then it became a part of him. Inside the house, Wang Lin's face turned rosy as if he had consumed something very nutritious. Although his eyes were closed, there was a faint thunder mark flashing through his eyelid. The room was very quiet, but the fire on the table flickered violently, and Wang Lin's shadow distorted even more. A moment later, the fire went out, and the room was as dark as outside. Only Wang Lin's thunder mark still faintly gave off a glow. Only 7 of the 8 stubborn ancient thunder dragons remained, and they struggled like crazy. The sea of fire went from being split into 8 parts to 7 parts, causing the fire each ancient thunder dragon was enduring to become even stronger. Under this intense burning, the 7 ancient thunder dragons screamed miserably. It didn't take long for another ancient thunder dragon to collapse and get absorbed by Wang Lin. Wang Lin's origin soul charged at the remaining 6 ancient thunder dragons. He charged through the fire and began a crazed battle to devour them. The night gradually passed and the sun covered the ground, awakening the sleeping city. However, the sunlight came a bit late as layers of dark clouds had blocked the sun, so everything was hazy. Waves of thunder came from the thunderclouds and fine rain began to fall. Wang Lin opened his eyes while sitting. "I have devoured and absorbed 7 of the 8 ancient thunder dragons. Only 1 left." Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Lately, Leo has been having half headaches, always seeming to see light waves in the form of lines, affecting my vision, sometimes momentarily half blinded, perhaps too exhausted. Chapter 1364, Ancient Star System Order. Black clouds covered the sky and tore up the sunlight as rain fell from the sky. The rustling rain fell on the roofs, on the street, and on every pedestrian walking on the street. Inside the houses, residents could clearly hear the rain land on their roofs. The rain flowed down along the edges of the roofs, forming curtains. The branches of leaves hanging from the doors rustled with the rain as the rain flowed down and became one with the rain curtains. The earth seemed to have been dry for a very long time, As the raindrops fell, large amounts of dust came with them, but before the dust could be kicked up high, it was immediately knocked back down by rain falling, becoming part of the mud puddle. Pedestrians quickly moved through the rain wearing rain clocks, with their heads lowered. Even though it was raining, it was daytime, so they still had to work. Some children crawled along the windows and reached for the rain while laughing. Their laughter traveled far in the rain. This rain was falling because of Wang Lin. Wang Lin pushed open the door of the house and felt the damp air blow into his face. It was very refreshing. He looked up at the rain that fell the sky and the roaring thunder from the clouds. At first the thunder sounded far away, but the sound quickly closed in until a big boom went off next to his ears. It scared some children, and they no longer dared to be near the windows. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he picked up the wine jug and took a drink. He smiled as he looked at the familiar mortal life before him. The children especially remind him of the past. Once upon a time on planet Suzaku, he also crawled on the window and extended his hand out to let the rain fall into his hand while he screamed cheerfully. It has been almost 2,000 years. Cultivators don't know time. And not many can remember their age. I can remember how old I am. Wang Lin took another sip of the wine and felt melancholy. The cold air was very strong as it fell on Wang Lin's body. He silently pondered for a moment, and when he was about to close the door, his expression changed, and he slowly looked up at the sky. The sky was still covered in dark clouds, and the rain blocked the view. Naturally, none of this affected Wang Lin, and he saw two swords flying in the clear sky above the dark clouds. There was a man and a woman on the flying swords. The man wore blue and was very handsome. His cultivation level wasn't T low, around Nirvana Scryer. The woman was graceful and wore phoenix-colored clothes. She was very beautiful and gave off the aura of a noble. Below them were the dark clouds. From their location looking down, they could clearly see the lightning moving within the clouds and hear the rumbling thunder. Yue Xuan, the clan has called for an urgent meeting. Your cultivation level isn't high enough, so don't be brave. The woman looked at the man gently and whispered, I'll listen to you. I wonder what happened for the elders to send out this urgent call. This is very rare. The man had a serious expression. He also had the same doubts in his heart and was about to speak when he suddenly looked into the distance. His arm blocked the woman and they stopped in the air. A ray of black light flew across the black clouds. The black wind was originally going in the same direction as the two of them, but once it detected them, it changed its direction toward them. It only took a moment for the black wind to close in, and a young man in black appeared. He had an indifferent gaze and silently looked at the woman named Yue Xuan. The pupils of the man blocking the woman shrank, and he clasped his hands. Greetings, Brother Zhou. The woman revealed a gentle smile and softly said, Little sister greets Big Brother Zhou. The young man named Zhou had a complicated expression as he withdrew his gaze and looked at the man in blue. He coldly said, The Scatter Thunder clan has been destroyed. Their head elder has been defeated and is missing. This has all been confirmed by the Sovereign Council. They sent the ancient star system order to tell all the clans. This urgent call is to get the announcement from the Sovereign Council. The Sovereign Council's Grandmaster Yun Luo used the great divination spell to find the appearance and origin soul imprint of the person who destroyed the Scatter Thunder clan. The ancient star system kill order has been sent out. This matter is so great, I fear even the likes of us have to go search. Even this cultivation planet must be carefully searched. Take care of yourselves. What? The expression of the man named Yu changed greatly and disbelief filled his eyes. The woman beside him was also shocked. The Scatter Thunder clan's head elder was rumored to be at 5th Heaven's Blight and couldn't be defeated by anyone but third-step cultivators. Unless the perpetrator is a third-step cultivator. Also, the Scatter Thunder clan had hundreds of thousands of people with many powerful cultivators. How could they be wiped out? The Scatter Thunder clan also has the eternal thunderbolt that has existed since ancient times. This matter. The young man in black was going to leave, but turned around and coldly said, This is unconfirmed, but the Sovereign Council said that the eternal thunderbolt was devoured by that person. At the moment, the entire ancient star system is searching. The Sovereign Council sent out an elder looking for this person. Under the clouds where the rain fell, Wang Lin slowly withdrew his gaze. His eyes were calm as he sat down and looked to the side. There were flashes in his eyes and he murmured, I have been found out so quickly, the Sovereign Council. I have to refine that last ancient thunder dragon as soon as possible and then fuse with the eternal thunderbolt. Wang Lin silently pondered as he closed his eyes. The monstrous flame in his origin soul was refining the last ancient thunder dragon. As time slowly passed, the rain outside became heavier and heavier. The dark clouds covered the city, causing the outside to be very dark. Even when it was noon, no sunlight penetrated the clouds. After refining for half a day, the ancient thunder dragon wasn't able to resist Wang Lin's fire anymore. It let out a miserable scream before it collapsed, and was absorbed by Wang Lin's origin soul. At this moment, all 8 ancient thunder dragons had been devoured by Wang Lin and had become part of him. At this instant, his origin soul grew like crazy. The fire dissipated and was replaced by endless thunder. The thunder essence began to grow like crazy at an earth-shattering rate. Wang Lin's origin soul slowly changed from the shape of an ancient thunder dragon to a bolt of thunder. A bolt of thunder that connected the heavens and earth. Wang Lin's head was the heavens and his feet were the earth. This bolt of thunder was now the same as the one the Scatter Thunder clan had, eternal. The moment this bolt of thunder formed completely, the clouds outside rumbled and even more rain fell. The thunder seemed to have gone crazy and rumbled violently. The entire cultivation planet could hear the shocking thunder coming out from the clouds. In the imperial city, there were several old men in a towering pavilion. Almost all of them were at the Nirvana Cleanser stage, and one of them was at the Nirvana Shatterer stage. As they all stood inside the pavilion, they looked at the clouds churning and listened to the rumbling thunder. They all revealed strange gazes. This rain came a bit too suddenly. The thunder also seems a bit too violent, but even our combined divine senses didn't find anything. One of the old men said, "Perhaps we are just too worried." Alas, even a large clan like the Scatter Thunder clan has been destroyed, and their head elder killed. Looking at the thunder before me, I can help but feel something is wrong, but perhaps I'm just thinking too much. The Nirvana Shatterer old man shook his head and stopped talking. It doesn't matter who that person is. Since the ancient star system kill order has been given, as long as his whereabouts are found, he will without a doubt die. There was a large mountain range in the eastern part of the planet. This was where the Zhenyan clan was located. Different from the Scatter Thunder clan, the Zhenyan clan was only a small sect and only occupied a single cultivation planet, much like the sects in the inner realm. At this moment, inside the Zhenyan clan, there was a person with white hair standing on top of the mountain. He looked very old, and he stared into the distance. After a long time, he whispered, "Why do I feel like a calamity is about to strike?" Wang Lin knew that time was of the essence. After devouring the 8 ancient thunder dragons, he released the eternal thunderbolt. The moment it was released, it was about to break free from Wang Lin's body. However, just as it was about to move, Wang Lin's origin soul, which had become a bolt of thunder, rushed at the eternal thunderbolt and began devouring like crazy. The eternal thunderbolt struggled like crazy. There was a will inside the eternal thunderbolt, much like the soul of a cultivator, and it began a struggle to the death with Wang Lin. Fuse with me and become part of my thunder essence. Allow my thunder essence to reach completion, and along with the accompanying forms of thunder, increase my cultivation level. Wang Lin's divine sense swept forth like a storm and tore up all the resistance the eternal thunderbolt put up. Tao! Spell fuse! Wang Lin's right eye lit up, and the 2 different thunder essences in his eyes began to rotate. His eyes gave off a demonic feel. These past few days, I've always been prodding myself to wish for likes on the VIDEO. But I always forget, now there are only the last 12 hours left to double the likes for the VIDEO. Tears in the hope of likes. Brothers, don't hold back. Chapter 136, Middle-Aged Scholar. The moment Xianxia finished speaking, the expression of a female cultivator, who was standing on a flying sword, suddenly darkened and became unsettled after hearing the words, "Ma Liang." She clenched her teeth, stopped, and turned around. This woman was very beautiful, but her expression was very ugly as she came over. This woman was the person who Ma Liang couldn't get out of his mind even in the foreign battleground, his junior apprentice sister Shu Si. She greeted Xianxia, then looked at Wang Lin with an ugly expression and cold eyes as she said, "Where did this evildoer come from? You dare to pretend to be a disciple of the war god shrine? Brother Xianxia, please help me kill this person." With that, she slapped her bag of holding, and a 2-inch black rain needle appeared in her hand. She gently moved her wrist, and the rain needle violently attacked Wang Lin. Strands of gray light spread from the needle, creating a shower of needles. The shower of needles covered the sky, then rained on Wang Lin. Xianxia was startled. He didn't react, but took a few steps back. He stared coldly at Wang Lin without saying a word. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he sneered on the inside. He reached out, formed a giant hand with his attraction force technique, and easily caught all of the needles. He wiped off the divine sense on them, snorted, then casually placed them into his bag of holding. The young woman's beautiful face suddenly turned pale as a stream of blood flowed down from her red lips. Her body shook, and the flying sword under her feet lost its shine. She stared at Wang Lin with a look of disbelief. In her memory, Ma Liang couldn't possibly have this kind of power, not to mention stopping her magic treasure, but also to be able to so casually wipe her divine sense away from it. Her heart was in turmoil as she thought about this. Just at this moment, 3 sword lights came from the middle of the army of cultivators. When they arrived, they revealed 3 young men. One of them was Xianxia. He looked at the woman once, then turned around to Xianxia and said, "Sorry for bothering you, brother Xianxia. Junior apprentice Ma Liang is indeed a disciple of the war god shrine. Thank you for guiding him here." Xianxia looked at them meaningfully. He let out a chuckle as he shook his head and left. After he moved away a bit, he turned around and saw Xianxia being very respectful to Ma Liang. This startled him. After pondering for a bit, he changed directions and went toward the He-Tu sect. Xianxia ignored everyone around him and whispered to Wang Lin, "Does Master know ancestor Fang Luan? The person on the 5-colored phoenix chariot is her. She ordered me to bring you to her." Wang Lin raised his head to look at the constantly moving army of cultivators. In the center there was a 5-colored phoenix chariot, and standing on it was a woman wearing a court dress. She seemed to notice Wang Lin's gaze and glanced at him. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he knew what was going on. This ancestor Feng Luan was the same middle-aged woman who had come for Zhou Zihong's soul essence blood. After pondering a little, he moved toward her with Xianxia. When he passed Xu Si, he shot her a vicious look and silently placed a sliver of his divine sense on her. This divine sense will activate after 1 month, and then this girl will die. After experiencing the events in Zhao, Wang Lin decided he would eliminate anyone who had ill intent towards him, whether they were man or woman. He would nip the bud before anything else could happen. Since this Xu Si attacked first, then she couldn't blame him for being ruthless. Xianxia guided the way and whispered, "When Lin Tao was making a copy of the map, he was caught by ancestor Feng Luan, so the map is currently in her hands. Lin Tao was also punished. If it wasn't for the migration, he would have been locked away for 10 years. Wang Lin's expression was normal, but he became even more cautious and followed Xianxia to the 5-colored phoenix chariot. Xianxia stopped after arriving near the chariot, but Wang Lin went past him. He arrived before ancestor Feng Luan, clasped his hands and respectfully said, "Wang Lin greets senior." The woman withdrew her gaze from the battle and looked at Wang Lin. She gently asked, "Wang Lin is your real name?" Wang Lin silently nodded. The name Wang Lin was simply too common, so there was no need to hide it. If it was discovered by her that he was lying about his name, then it would be bad. The woman looked at the advancing army of cultivators. She pondered a bit before saying, "Currently, the country of Hao Fen is in danger. Once we reach Xuanwu, there will be another big battle. Thus, we can forget about this matter so you don't have to worry about it. If someone bothers you, I can protect you, but only once. After I help you, then I no longer owe you for saving Zihong." Just as Feng Luan finished speaking, the sky suddenly darkened. In the distant battlefield, 10 large volcanoes were ripped out from the ground and tossed aside by the 10 nascent soul cultivators. The fire beasts all scattered, but some of them were hit by the impact and were turned to paste. Using this chance, the army of cultivators charged through the opening and broke through the army of 20,000 or so fire beasts that were chasing Wang Lin. Flying swords charged into the gap one by one. Once a gap was opened, the cultivators had already won. After all, their goal wasn't to eliminate the fire beasts, but to escape. Feng Luan stared at the battlefield. The phoenix chariot suddenly charged forth and broke through as well. The 16 giant fire beasts were held down by the nascent soul cultivators. They roared repetitively, but eventually stopped and stared coldly at the escaping army of cultivators. Then they linked their hands together in a weird wave, and waves of roars like before came from their mouths. Shortly after, red lines came out of their foreheads to form the Ring of Fire. The moment the Ring of Fire appeared, the 16 giant fire beasts revealed looks of devotion and let out sad growls. Their bodies shrank rapidly as bursts of dark red energy entered the Ring of Fire. This process has lasted more than an hour. Some cultivators noticed the change and came to stop them, but when they got close, they were turned to dust by a destructive force. After seeing this, no one else dared to come too close. One more hour later, the bodies of the 16 giant beasts had dissipated. They had all fused with the Ring of Fire. The ring didn't grow any larger, but the color was now dark red. Finally, it silently shattered into tiny red specks and disappeared. At this moment, all of the fire beasts inside Hu Fen stopped moving and knelt on the ground, letting out sad sounds at the same time. Suddenly, one of the fire beasts fell to the ground and started twitching. If one looked closely, they would see a speck of red light on its forehead. Its body rapidly expanded, and in less than 1 hour, it grew to 10 feet tall. Shortly after, one fire beast after another was touched by the red speck, and their bodies rapidly grew. In less than 2 hours, all of the fire beasts in Hao Fen seemed to have undergone a change. Their powers were also increased tenfold. The beasts that changed flew into the air and chased after the army of cultivators. More and more changed fire beasts joined the chase. This scene looked very intimidating. As for the army of cultivators, of the 10 nascent soul cultivators that returned from the battle, 4 came back to the War God Shrine S group. One of the old men with a pale face swept the chariot and locked onto Wang Lin. His voice was cold as he asked, "It was this junior who lured the fire beasts here?" Wang Lin stared at the old man with his cold gaze and nodded. The old man let out a few cold snorts. Then his giant hand reached toward Wang Lin. Feng Luan's face slightly darkened as she slapped the 5-colored phoenix chariot. A 5-colored phoenix appeared and let out a chirp. It flapped its wings and a 5-colored light spread out. The old man withdrew his hand. He stared at the woman and angrily shouted, "Feng Luan, what are you doing? Not only did this guy possess a disciple of our war god shrine, but also lured the fire beasts here. You have to know that more than 1,000 disciples of Hao Fen died in that battle." Feng Luan revealed a determined look and decisively said, "As long as I am here, you can kill him." Zhou Jin stared at Feng Luan with a dark expression. He pondered for a bit, then said, "This person isn't Ma Liang, so he isn't a disciple of my war god shrine. Although I can kill him, he can stay here either." Feng Luan turned toward Wang Lin and asked, "Wang Lin, are you willing to become my honorary disciple?" Wang Lin quickly thanked her and nodded. Zhou Jin's eyes narrowed and became cold. Feng Luan's cultivation level was the same as his, at the early stage of nascent soul, but her cultivation partner, Xianxia, was at the mid-stage of nascent soul. It wasn't really worth it to offend 2 nascent soul cultivators over something this small. Zhou Jin snorted and said, "Since junior apprentice sister Feng Luan is willing to take this person as her disciple, then I naturally won't pursue this matter anymore." Putting the identity of this person aside, seeing that there are more battles to come, with his mere mid-stage foundation establishment cultivation level, it would be hard to ensure his safety. With that, he waved his sleeves and left. Of the 3 remaining nascent soul cultivators, only 1 flew toward Feng Luan. The other 2 wryly smiled and scattered. The person who flew toward Feng Luan looked like a middle-aged scholar. He was the mid-stage nascent soul cultivator that Zhou Jin dreaded, Xianxia. He looked at Wang Lin and frowned. He then sighed at Feng Luan and asked, "Junior sister Luan, why did you do this?" Feng Luan coldly stared at the middle-aged scholar and said, "If it wasn't for him, Hong Iya would have died in the foreign battleground. If it wasn't you for inciting her, how could Hong Iya have entered that dangerous place?" The middle-aged scholar turned toward Wang Lin and deeply bowed. After he finished, he took out a piece of jade and swiped his hand over it. He threw it at Wang Lin and said, "This jade is a nascent soul-level treasure I made in my earlier years. I have already removed my divine sense from it. Once you imprint yours, you will be able to use it to protect yourself in the coming battles." 5,000 words in a major chapter. Seizing the moment when brothers and sisters feel comfortable, Lio wishes for the like button for the video, for sharing, for channel follows without hesitation. Chapter 1365 3 images. The wind rumbled. Thunder roared, and rain fell violently on the earth. A thick veil of rain formed in the city and ripples spread across the city, This rain was very fast and seemed to have no end as it constantly fell. Fortunately, the streets had shallow waterways that led most of the rain out of the city like rivers flowing into the ocean. An entire day of time was lost in this rain. When night arrived, it was not as lively as the night before. People stayed inside their homes and didn't go out. It was impossible to see the clouds at night, but the lightning that occasionally lit up the sky revealed the world to everyone. There was cold wind mixed in with the rain. The cold wind howled, causing the rain to fall at an angle. The branches of wet leaves hanging before every door began to shake violently. Some were not tied well enough and the ropes snapped. They began flying in the wind like lonely boats in the violent ocean. Some were thrown into the sky, where they circled in the air and disappeared into the darkness. Some fell to the ground and landed in the muddy water. They tried to fly again with the wind, but then a muddy boot crushed them, pushing them back into the mud. They would never break free again. Thunder began to roar at this moment, and the lightning lit up the city. During this brief moment, one could see an old man wearing a Taoist robe standing in the middle of the street with his hands behind his back and his eyes glowing like torches. He was still standing on a leaf with his right foot. Half of the leaf was still struggling in the muddy water as the wind blew. There was a strange mark between his eyebrows. Behind him were 7 middle-aged cultivators, their gazes cold. With a wave of his hand, the 7 people immediately surrounded the old man, and their hands formed seals. A faint light came from each of them and formed lightning-like threads connected to the old man's body. This formed an image that looked the same as the tattoo between the old man's eyebrows. The old man became the center, and 7 rays of light shot out of his body. The old man closed his eyes and suddenly reopened them a moment later. The moment he opened his eyes, the light from his clan mark began to spread out like a fan. At the same time, the light from the 7 people around him glowed brightly and gathered inside the old man's body, causing the light from his clan mark to shine even brighter. As the light from his clan mark swept by the houses, the old man's gaze suddenly changed. These old and shabby houses suddenly looked like they were brand new, and then, in another instant, they were in ruins. Not only was the time of the houses reversing, even the mortals in the houses became younger. Soon, they dissipated one by one as if they had never appeared in his world. Some people that had lived here and died long ago seemed to have resurrected. Their lives played out before the old man. Wang Lin was still sitting inside the house. The devouring of the eternal thunderbolt inside his origin soul had reached the critical moment. The eternal thunderbolt contained a will that was struggling frantically and was letting out thunderous roars, much like the thunder outside. However, no matter how it tried to break free, it couldn't break out of Wang Lin's body. After Wang Lin's origin soul had devoured the 8 ancient thunder dragons, it had turned into a bolt of thunder. It was like 2 bolts of eternal thunder were battling each other at the beginning of time. Only one could remain. Only one could become the true King of Thunder. However, just at this moment, Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes, and they started shining. His expression was calm as he waved his hand, and everything inside the house began to distort like a mirror. It continued to distort until cracking sounds appeared, and finally, everything shattered. After doing this, Wang Lin closed his eyes and ignored the outside world. He once again went into cultivation and began the final step of devouring the eternal thunderbolt. In the rain, the old man in the Taoist robe slowly looked across the houses. When his gaze passed Wang Lin's house, he didn't even bat an eye. He just saw a scholar disappear within the house and get replaced by a much livelier family. After a long time, the old man had scanned the entire western side of the city. After finding nothing, the old man calmly formed a seal, pointed to between his eyebrows, and let out a roar. The light from his clan mark became even brighter, and when the old man looked again, the city had disappeared. Time continued to reverse, and an ancient battlefield appeared before the old man. 2 mortal armies fought, dyeing the earth dark red. The old man suddenly closed his eyes. The light from his clan mark dimmed until it returned to normal. The 7 cultivators around him also withdrew their marks. Now their faces were slightly pale. There is no cultivator hiding here. Let us change to a different location. The old man waved his sleeves and jumped into the air through the dark clouds. As he flew into the distance, the 7 cultivators followed. Similar scenes not only happened in various cities, but also on many planets across the ancient star system. Once the ancient star system order was given, every clan had to obey, and they had begun a detailed search of every single cultivation planet and abandoned planet. The people of the ancient star system formed a giant net. Wang Lin's expression remained neutral and didn't change at all when they left. His eyes didn't even open. The roar of the eternal thunderbolt was getting weaker, and so was its struggle. With clouds still filling the sky, even now the rain didn't seem to lessen. Not even the night watchman appeared, and the only sound was the sound of rain falling. The two thunders inside Wang Lin's origin soul finally fused together. The eternal thunderbolt let out an unwilling roar before it was completely devoured by Wang Lin's origin soul. The moment the eternal thunderbolt was devoured, the will inside was refined by Wang Lin and became one with his origin soul. He felt his origin soul tremble, and his thunder essence was growing at an unimaginable speed. This growth was impossible to describe. Just the thunder essence had allowed Wang Lin's cultivation to break through the mid-stage of Nirvana Shatterer and reach toward the late stage. As his thunder essence rumbled, Wang Lin's cultivation would instantly reach the late stage of Nirvana Shatterer if he used his thunder. The power of essence, the fundamentals of all domains. Obtaining the essence meant that he had seen through all laws of thunder. There was no longer a domain cap on his cultivation, and this was unheard of. After devouring the will of the eternal thunderbolt, Wang Lin's mind rumbled. Memories flashed through his mind. These were the memories from the will, the memories of the eternal thunderbolt. The memories were broken due to the passage of time, so only 3 images appeared. The first image was of a collapse of a star system. The collapse spread across countless star domains and star fields, across an area far larger than both the inner and outer realms. This collapse was like the apocalypse. Within the collapse, countless creatures perished. Wang Lin saw cultivators in strange clothes, strange monsters, mosquito beasts the size of a planet, and he even saw a Ji Qiong with countless heads. However, just as he was about to continue to look, a bolt of thunder seemed to frantically come from the void as if it was escaping something, and it flashed through the void. This was the first image. It was very short, but the shock it brought Wang Lin was huge. That flash was the eternal thunderbolt. However, it was countless times more powerful than when Wang Lin devoured it. In the second image, the thunderbolt swam in a person's hand. He was middle-aged and he had an indifferent gaze. There was a flower tattoo between his eyebrows. The flower had 7 petals representing the 7 colors. Unfortunately, this ancient void god thunderbolt will never return to what it was like in the past. Forget it. I'll just send you out and see what your luck is. The middle-aged man shook his head and waved his hand. The thunderbolt rumbled as it went down endlessly and disappeared. The third image's setting was on top of the Scatter Thunder Clan's temple. There was a bolt of thunder that connected the heavens and earth. It was as if it had existed since the beginning of time and would remain eternal. There were 8 cultivators floating around this bolt of thunder. One of the 8 was an old man, and he had a thunder mark between his eyebrows. The other 7 all wore strange clothes that was made from an unknown substance. It looked like each of them was wearing a river. The person stood at the head. He was clearly the leader. Even the person of the Scatter Thunder Clan looked at this person with respect and a hint of fear. There was a golden line around this person's body. Wang Lin felt that the golden line was extremely familiar. I didn't think he would be here. Unfortunate. Unfortunate. The leader shook his head and turned around. The moment he turned around, a rumble echoed through Wang Lin's mind. His pupils shrank, and he was startled for a moment. He is. Waking up early today, not updating on time even earlier. Leo went to deal with household chores, unsure what time I'll be back this afternoon. The new chapter tonight might be late. Chapter 1366, 5-colored Jai Realm. The image dissipated. However, the image of the person turning around while speaking lingered in Wang Lin's mind. It was like an imprint engraved in his mind. This person's appearance was unfamiliar to Wang Lin. He believed he had never seen that person before, but there was a 5-colored light flashing in his left thigh. Wang Lin was very familiar with this light. He could tell at a glance that it was the G Realm. 5-colored G Realm. Wang Lin had only seen the 5-colored Jai Realm once. It was a long time ago back on planet Suzaku. It belonged to Naduo from the 5 Elements planet. The moment Wang Lin saw the 5-colored G Realm, he had the inexplicable feeling that this 5-colored G Realm was the same as Naduo's 5-colored G Realm. Meeting Naduo had opened the door to the J Realm for Wang Lin. Wang Lin had also found out that there wasn't just one type of G realm. Na Duo was one of the people that had hunted Situ Nan and was healing as a mummy on planet Suzaku. Wang Lin had taken his bag of holding, and after Wang Lin got his revenge in Zhao, this person had caught up to him. Although the image had disappeared, Wang Lin's eyes shined. He seemed to have found a great secret. The golden light around the person should be the soul lasher. Combined with what the head elder said during our battle, then there is Ne Duo's five-colored Jai realm. Could it be that these mysterious cultivators didn't leave but headed to the inner realm? Due to some unknown reason, his five-colored G realm ended up in Na Duo's hands. Even the soul lasher was left behind on planet Suzaku. Na Duo must know a lot about this five-elements planet Na Duo. As Wang Lin silently pondered, his eyes lit up. After a long time, he took a deep breath and put all of this aside. This was not the time to be thinking about this. At this moment, the thunder in Wang Lin's origin soul was several times stronger than before. It filled his body and formed a vortex that rumbled loudly as it rotated. Every time it rotated, it would cause every inch of Wang Lin's body to be filled with the power of thunder. At this moment, he was no longer a cultivator, but a bolt of thunder. A bolt of heaven-defying thunder. This cultivation went through a strange change at this moment. This kind of change had never happened before in the inner realm, nor the outer realm. If he simply used this thunder power, he could break through from the mid-stage of Nirvana Shatterer to the late stage. However, if didn't he use thunder, and instead used his own domain fire and origin energy, Wang Lin was still at the mid-stage of Nirvana Shatterer. This was directly related to the fact he had 5 essences in his body. The rain outside the house continued to fall and lightning sometimes flash across the sky. Wang Lin stood up and held the broken raincoat in his hand. He put it on and walked out the door. The moment he opened the door, lightning arrived and lit up the dark street. The rain created a haze, making it impossible to see far. No light came from any of the houses. They were obviously already asleep. Occasionally, there would be cries of children being awakened by the sound of thunder, but soon were coaxed back into sleep by their parents. The rustling rain set off ripples on the ground, which was littered with scattered leaves. Wang Lin stood at the door and looked at the sky that was lit up for a moment by the lightning. He then tightened the raincoat around him and walked out. There was no one else on the street beside Wang Lin. The only thing that accompanied him on this silent walk down the street, aside from the rain, was the wind. The connection between the western and northern parts of the city was always very lively. If the weather was good, even late at night, the brothels and casinos would always be very populated. However, under this heavy rain, this place had become quiet. Only the places that pretended to be restaurants still had light coming from them. Wang Lin slowly walked through the western side of the city and arrived outside a restaurant. There were only 2 or 3 people inside, and the waiter had a sleepy gaze that made him look like he would fall asleep at any moment. Wang Lin walked into the restaurant and placed the wine jug before the waiter, making a soft sound. "Give me a jug of wine." When Wang Lin entered, he brought in some wind and rain. The man felt a chill and looked at Wang Lin. He grumbled before taking the wine jug off the table and walking into the back room. A short moment later, he put the wine jug before Wang Lin and lazily said, "3 mortal crystals." Wang Lin left the money and took a sip of the wine. The familiar spicy feeling entered his throat and turned into heat in his stomach. This wine was very strong and suitable for when one was about to kill. Wang Lin liked it a lot. Holding the wine jug, he walked out of the restaurant. Thunder rumbled and lightning lit up the road before Wang Lin. He didn't go back to the western side of the city, but walked toward the northern side. In the rainy night, he would sometimes drink a mouthful of wine. His pace wasn't fast, but every time he took a step, the rain seemed to pause for a moment. In the sky north of the capital, the old man in the Taoist robe who had used the spell to search was leaving with a gloomy expression. The 7 others that followed him all looked tired. They had already searched many places tonight, but they had found nothing. Clearly, the person that wiped out the Scatter Thunder clan wasn't here. "Elder, large amounts of people have gathered in this star domain, but none of them have found anything. Perhaps that person isn't here. He may not be on this cultivation planet, but he must be in this star domain," the old man said gloomily as he walked through the air. The Sovereign Council's Grandmaster Yun Luo foresaw that this person would be in this star domain. It won't be long before he can pinpoint the planet. If we can find him before Grandmaster Yun Luo, we will surely. The old man's eyes lit up when he got to this point. However, just at this moment, thunder echoed across the air and lightning lit up the sky. At that moment, a figure wearing a raincoat and holding a wine jug walked over. He was too fast, so fast that no one saw him, so fast that none of the 7 people noticed him at all. This figure suddenly arrived 3 feet away from the old man in the Taoist robe. The old man in the Taoist robe's pupils shrank and his eyes filled with shock and fear. He didn't have time to do anything before the figure took a sip of the wine in his right hand, and his left hand landed between the old man's eyebrows. In an instant, a thunderous rumble came from the sky. A portion of the old man's origin soul was ripped off and pushed out from his body. Just as this portion of origin soul left the old man's body, Wang Lin took a step forward. His left hand grabbed the origin soul that extended outward and then walked into the distance. At this moment, the thunder just ended, and the sound was still echoing. Then lightning lit up the sky once more. The 7 cultivators hadn't noticed anything at all. Even the old man in the Taoist robe was confused but soon recovered. It will surely be a great merit. The old man's expression was still gloomy, but he was deathly pale. It seemed he hadn't noticed anything or remembered the fear he felt. He took a step and continued to fly forward. As the lightning lit up the earth, the figure went further and further away from those 8 cultivators. In his hand was an origin soul that looked like the old man. The old man tried to call for help, but no sound came out. These 8 people only needed to turn around to see this, but they weren't aware at all and gradually left. Wang Lin took a sip of wine as he walked through the muddy water on the street of the western city and opened the door to his house. He was still holding an origin soul in his left hand, and the moment he entered, his left hand squeezed. The origin soul silently collapsed, and all memories were extracted by Wang Lin. Wang Lin wouldn't carelessly risk killing the old man in the Taoist robe, but he needed to know the current situation in the ancient star system. He had used his thunder to instantly cut off a portion of the old man's origin soul to search the old man's memory. It is indeed as I expected. The ancient star system has begun to search carefully. The Sovereign Council's Grandmaster Yun Luo, this person's spell was able to calculate my location. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. With this memory, he not only learned about the hunt the ancient star system had called for, but also the search net they had placed. While sneering, Wang Lin waved his hand and an origin soul appeared in his hand. This was the origin soul of the Scatter Thunder Clan's head elder. His eyes were closed and he was on the brink of death. The other 5 accompanying types of thunder, aside from spiritual thunder, must be obtained through the origin soul of the head elder. When he used the 6 types of thunder they didn't come from his body, he summoned them. Although they dissipated, they weren't destroyed and could be summoned again. Unfortunately, there are 9 types of thunder, and it's not complete. I wonder if completing my thunder mark will allow me to cross the heaven's blight stages and reach the 3rd step as a thunder cultivator. Without hesitating, Wang Lin opened his mouth and inhaled. The head elder's origin soul entered Wang Lin's mouth as a stream of light. Thunder rumbled inside Wang Lin's origin soul as the head elder's origin soul was completely crushed. At this moment, Wang Lin's thunder origin soul moved. After devouring the head elder, his origin soul unexpectedly changed into the appearance of the head elder. His origin soul suddenly opened its eyes, and thunder flashed through them. Heavenly thunder, earth thunder, origin thunder, magnetic thunder, Tao thunder, and spiritual thunder appear for me. Finally, the weekend is here, and Leo can finally sleep to his heart's content, not needing to get up early to take the daughter to school. Been burning the midnight oil these past few days, utterly exhausted. Chapter 1367, Master Simo. The 6 types of thunder. Wang Lin had sent out his will, and his origin soul began to shine brightly. If not for the fact that this body had contained the light, it would have lit up the entire planet as if it was day. Under this violent light, a rift appeared in Wang Lin's origin soul, but it didn't bring him any harm. The inside of the rift was completely dark, as if it led to another world. Under Wang Lin's will, the darkness in the rift began to move like fog, and there were faint rumblings coming from within. In just a moment, 6 types of thunder rumbled and flew out. They were the result of the Scatter Thunder Clan collecting them for tens of thousands of years. They immediately rushed out and rotated rapidly around Wang Lin's origin soul. A feeling of swelling came from Wang Lin's body. It was fortunate that he had the body of an ancient god, because if he was an ordinary cultivator, he would have exploded immediately. Even so, there were strands of thunder coming out from Wang Lin's pores. This caused his clothes to move without any wind, and thunder moved across the entire room. Due to this, the thunder outside became even more crazy and rumbled loudly. This drastic change caused Wang Lin to open his eyes. My judgment was wrong. Wang Lin's expression became gloomy, and his body disappeared from the house. He moved across the rumbling sky and instantly appeared in an endless mountain range in the southern part of the planet. The endless mountains were linked together, making it impossible to see where they ended. The mountains were covered in many giant ancient forests that were filled with ferocious beasts. Wang Lin appeared in a valley in the depths of the mountain range. The moment he appeared, he waved his hand and light distorted around him so that he could blend into the surroundings. Under the light, Wang Lin sat down, formed seals with his hands, and began to refine like crazy. He previously thought that he could contain the 6 types of thunder within his origin soul, but he unexpectedly found that his origin soul couldn't devour them in a short period of time. Not only that, but thunder was coming out of his body. The thunder was weak, but it was enough to attract the attention of some of the cultivators on the planet. When Wang Lin left the house, the expressions of the cultivators in the pavilion in the imperial city all changed. They had faintly noticed a shocking thunder force, but when their divine senses rushed over, they found nothing. However, all of these cultivators were very smart and immediately realized the reason. It doesn't matter if this is the person who slaughtered the Scatter Thunder clan. This person must have a hidden agenda for hiding here. The Nirvana Shatterer old man had a gloomy expression. His eyes lit up and he charged off into the distance. The rest followed him. Not only him, the old man in the Taoist robe who had his divine sense split was about to leave when he suddenly turned around. His eyes revealed a strange light as he turned without saying a word, and his divine sense began a careful search. Similarly, in the western part of the planet, there was a group of cultivators in white. They had searched the entire western side of the planet and found nothing. Just as they were about to leave, the expression of the middle-aged man who was the leader changed, and he changed directions without hesitation. In a foggy star domain in the ancient star system lived one of the large ancient clans, the Misty clan. Deep within the foggy star domain, there was a blue planet. Within this blue planet was a lake as calm as a mirror. It was very beautiful. There was an island at the center of the lake with 2 or 3 elegant pavilions built on it. They were surrounded by a large amount of flowers that gave off pleasant fragrance. The wind would create ripples in the lake and blow the fragrance of the flowers into the distance. There was a woman in black sitting outside the pavilion. She had green silk draped over her head, and the wind caused her hair to flutter. Her face was covered by green silk, so it was impossible to see it. Her hands were like jade, and there was a ball of water that gave off water vapor moving above the lake. The ball of water seemed to be filled with chaos and filled with light. Its insides twisted and distorted until the figure of a man in white that gave off the aura of loneliness appeared. As the ball of water twisted, the figure became even more clear. Looking at it closely, it was Wang Lin. Just at this moment, the eyes of the woman in black lit up behind the green silk. The ball of water exploded into a curtain of water. The curtain of water revealed a star domain, and in that star domain there was only one cultivation planet. The woman in black softly said, "Tell the elders of the Sovereign Council that Yun Luo has found the person who destroyed the Scatter Thunder clan. He is here." The moment she finished speaking, 3 figures vaguely appeared and clasped their hands at the woman before disappearing. It wasn't long before all the ancient star system cultivators around the planet Wang Lin was on obtained the Sovereign Council's order and began to gather. At the same time, there was an abyss within a spatial rift. This place was dark all year and was always filled with cold energy. Any living being sucked in would instantly perish. However, deep within the darkness and cold energy of the rift sat a middle-aged man. He wore a gloomy expression as he sat there and cultivated. Every time he inhaled, the endless cold energy would gather. Crackling sounds echoed as ice formed and instantly collapsed into energy that was absorbed by this man. There was a ball of white light floating before him. The white light seemed to contain souls, but it was impossible to see what was inside clearly. It slowly rotated, and faint white lines flew out of it and were inhaled by the middle-aged man. After a long time, the middle-aged man slowly opened his eyes and looked at the white light before him. He muttered, "A rank 6 Tao spirit is indeed amazing. I've only absorbed 60%. But I already faintly feel signs of breaking past the early stage of Nirvana Void, although I am still far from a breakthrough. But it's a feeling that hasn't appeared in a long time, the 4 void realms. Nirvana, spirit, arcane, tribulent." The middle-aged man's expression suddenly changed, and he looked up. A ray of red light pierced through the void and rushed into the rift. It suddenly appeared before the middle-aged man. The red light lit up everything, and there was a blood-colored piece of paper at the center. "Master Simo, orders from the Sovereign Council within. Capture the person who destroyed the Scatter Thunder Clan to earn a rank 6 Tao spirit as a reward. Kill him, and you will only obtain a rank 9 Tao spirit." A gloomy voice echoed from the blood paper. This middle-aged man was one of the third-step cultivators hunting Tuo Sen when Wang Lin entered the ancient star system. "Master Simo." Master Simo's eyes lit up, and his right hand reached out at the blood paper. He crushed the paper, and then a red gas entered his arm. "This matter is simple. My avatar is enough." After he finished speaking, he closed his eyes, and an illusion walked out of his body. This avatar looked exactly like him, but its cultivation wasn't T at the third step, but fifth heaven-s blight. His avatar took a step forward and disappeared from the spatial rift. As for Wang Lin, he was hiding within the mountain range, ignoring all the cultivators that were searching for him on the planet. Ignoring the rays of light flying above his head, he closed his eyes and began refining the 6 types of thunder like crazy. The first one he refined was the spiritual thunder. He already had a lot, and it didn't take long for him to absorb all the spiritual thunder the Scatter Thunder Clan had gathered. As a result, his spiritual thunder was every powerful. It slowly rotated around Wang Lin's origin soul. Every time it made a rotation, it would make his origin soul grow, and his cultivation level would increase a bit. His thunder cultivation was growing toward the peak of Nirvana Shatterer. It was difficult to reach Nirvana Shatterer in 10,000 years, much less breaking through further. Wang Lin's cultivation time simply couldn't compare to that of those old monsters. He relied on the Tao fruit to reach the Nirvana Shatterer stage, and then on the thunder. Although this was the case, it couldn't increase his cultivation level too much unless all 9 types of thunder were completed. However, Wang Lin didn't know if he could enter the third after the 9 types thunder were complete. He had a feeling it wouldn't be this simple. After all, he had chosen not to cultivate Joss Flames. "No matter what happens, I can cultivate Joss Flames." Wang Lin's decision was firm. After absorbing the spiritual thunder, his origin soul opened its mouth and began to devour the other 5 types of thunder. Time slowly passed. In the blink of an eye, 1 day went by. During this day, even more ancient star system cultivators had gathered here. There was no less than 100,000 cultivators. There were many powerful cultivators here, and very few weak people were sent out. The entire cultivation planet had been searched like crazy by these cultivators. The search had already flipped the entire planet inside and out. Even the mountain range had been searched inch by these cultivators, but in the end, no matter how much they searched, they found nothing. Day in, day out, nearing 3,000 words, reading a lot, but can't force myself to split the story into 2,000 words chapters, because then the flavor's gone. Leo with tears in his eyes, longing for the like button for the video. Chapter 1368, The Great Void Gate. Several cultivators had walked by Wang Lin and swept the area countless times with their divine senses, but none of them noticed him. As Wang Lin sat there, he had completely merged with his surroundings. Whenever someone's gaze or divine sense passed by, their senses would be distorted, so they wouldn't detect Wang Lin. His aura had long fused with the mountain range, so it was impossible to tell them apart. The heavenly thunder had already been successfully refined and had become one of his accompanying thunders. The earth thunder had also been successfully devoured by Wang Lin a few hours ago. Wang Lin knew that time was of the essence. He didn't hesitate to charge toward the 4th type of thunder, the origin thunder. This origin thunder was formed by the origin energy of the world. After being refined by Wang Lin for 3 hours, it trembled and could no longer resist. Right now there were 4 types of accompanying thunder around Wang Lin's thunder origin soul. As the 4 types of accompanying thunder rotated, his origin soul became even more powerful, and his thunder cultivation was getting closer to peak Nirvana Shatterer. Magnetic thunder, I command you as the thunder of heaven to become my accompanying thunder. Wang Lin's divine sense roared. The fifth type of accompanying thunder, magnetic thunder, was very strange. It contained a powerful magnetic force and gave off a powerful repulsive force. To completely absorb it, he would have to refine it for several days and slowly make the repulsive force dissipate until it became his own. However, Wang Lin didn't have much time to waste. Seeing the magnetic thunder resisting violently, he let out a cold snort, and the 4 types of accompanying thunder around his origin soul descended. They formed a powerful force and collided with the magnetic force. There was a violent roar, and the magnetic thunder resisted for a moment before it collapsed. The moment it collapsed, Wang Lin's origin soul devoured the magnetic thunder. However, due to the fact that it was not absorbed but devoured after collapsing, it was a lot weaker than the other types of accompanying thunder. However, Wang Lin couldn't care too much about it. After absorbing the 5 types of accompanying thunder, they rotated rapidly around his origin soul. At that instant, his cultivation broke through from the late stage of Nirvana Shatterer to the peak of Nirvana Shatterer. When his thunder cultivation reached the peak of Nirvana Shatterer, his origin soul expanded rapidly before pounding on the 6th type of accompanying thunder. Tao Thunder! The Scatter Thunder clan had found Tao Thunder in the inner realm. Only inner realm cultivators cultivated Tao and could form Tao intent. This was how Tao Thunder was formed. If this thunder resisted, Wang Lin wouldn't hesitate to crush it. His origin soul arrived with the momentum of a large army, but the Tao Thunder unexpectedly didn't resist at all. Complicated Tao intent came from the countless souls within the thunder. Wang Lin felt that these souls were extremely familiar. They were all inner realm cultivators. These souls also felt Wang Lin's Tao intent and charged at his origin soul. Without the need for Wang Lin to devour it, the Tao Thunder integrated with its own. A perfect integration. All 6 types of accompanying thunder were devoured and were rotating rapidly around Wang Lin's thunder essence. His thunder cultivation had reached the peak of Nirvana Shatterer. His eyes suddenly opened, and in the thunder mark in his right eye, 6 types of accompanying thunder rotated. Endless rumbles came from the thunder in the sky. The 100,000 cultivators on the planet searching for Wang Lin immediately noticed the difference in the thunder. Their divine senses fused together and swept the entire planet, but they still found nothing. If it wasn't for the Zhenyan sect stopping them, these cultivators were going to ignore all life on the planet and refine the entire planet to force Wang Lin out. Rays of light filled the sky. There were cultivators everywhere. Wang Lin revealed a sneer. The 6 types of accompanying thunder were complete, but this wasn't the end. He still needed 3 more types of thunder to complete his thunder essence. However, he had no clue where to search for the remaining 3. When it comes to accompanying thunder, there is need to follow the rules and search for them. If I say they are accompanying thunder, then that's what they will be. Wang Lin was never one to follow the rules. Since he had no idea what the 3 types of accompanying thunder should be, he was just going to make his own. I want to see if I can reach the 3rd step with the help of my thunder essence reaching completion. Wang Lin's eyes glowed red, and his G-realm shot out. G-realm is divine retribution and is also thunder. I don't care what the divine retribution was before. Now you are the G-thunder and my 7th type of accompanying thunder. I, Wang Lin, am the thunder of heaven. My words are orders you follow for life. G-thunder return. Under Wang Lin's will, the G-thunder rumbled and charged at his right eye. It penetrated this right eye and imprinted itself in his pupil. It became the 7th type of accompanying thunder. At this moment, inside Wang Lin's right eye, there were 7 types of thunder rotating around his thunder essence. An extremely powerful aura erupted from his body. Wang Lin had already merged with the mountain range. The eruption of thunder spread out across the mountain range and across the entire continent. The thunderous rumble was heaven-shaking, and endless thunder was set off across the continent. This thunder didn't hurt mortals, but it was extremely bright. The cultivators searching for Wang Lin were all shocked and then became excited as they began searching once more. There were several cultivators at the Heaven's Blight stage working together, causing their divine senses to increase greatly. Thundertoad, you a fierce beast and contain your own bloodline. You have followed me for many years, and although your cultivation level isn't high, you have cultivated my defying nature. Today, as the Lord of Thunder, I grant you the title of the 8th type of accompanying thunder, the Bloodline Thunder. I don't care what the 8th type of thunder was in the past. From today onward, you will become the eternal 8th type of accompanying thunder. Wang Lin's divine sense was powerful, and when it spread out, the thunder toad that had followed him for countless years appeared. The thunder toad let out a roar, and then turned into a bolt of thunder that charged at Wang Lin's right eye. In an instant, the thunder toad disappeared and a bolt of bloodline thunder appeared in Wang Lin's right eye. 8 types of accompanying thunder rotated around his thunder essence. Now the world changed colors and the clouds scattered. Not only the earth, but even the sky was covered in thunder. Thunderous rumbles spread out and shocked the minds of all the cultivators here. Right now the sky was thunder, and the earth was also thunder. The space in between was surrounded by thunder. There was attraction between the thunder from the sky and the thunder on the earth. Bolts of thunder connecting the sky and earth appeared. The 100,000 cultivators searching for Wang Lin were no longer excited, but terrified. They had never seen something like this before. Watching the thunder rumble, their hearts began to tremble. The last type of thunder. I can find this last type of accompanying thunder in this world, but throughout my life, I have always defied the heavens. I refused to bend to fate, and I'll become the Lord of the world. I'll destroy this heavens and shatter this earth. I've fought against the heavens for the soul of my wife and stole from time. I've lived my life as a heaven-defying cultivator. Although it has been bloody, I have no regrets. I, Wang Lin, have traveled the world for 2,000 years, but my heart remains calm. I seek a heaven-defying heart, and I cultivate a heaven-defying will. Since I can find the last form of accompanying thunder, then I'll use my entire life of cultivation to form the defying thunder. This defying thunder has never been born before, but today, with my command, this world will give birth to the defying thunder that will replace the 9th type of accompanying thunder of the past and become the only 9th type of thunder, defying thunder. Wang Lin's will were filled with madness and power. He suddenly stood up and looked at the sky. His body was as straight as a pine tree, filled with heaven-defying will. His eyes were like thunder, and his aura charged into the sky. His heart contained defiance and struggled directly against fate. What happened at the 7 million worlds removed my last bit of hesitation. If the heavens are insensitive, then you as cultivators should resist. If it doesn't care, why should it control all lives and mess with my life? Wang Lin's voice roared, and the endless thunder seemed to resonate. The thunder formed a giant thunder lake and spread in all directions. A bolt of thunder that had never appeared since the beginning of time was born from Wang Lin's words. It was invisible and couldn't be seen by most people. Only those filled with a defying will could detect it. When this thunder suddenly appeared, it charged toward Wang Lin's right eye. It contained the struggle against fate and heaven. It integrated in an instant. In Wang Lin's right eye, the 9 types of accompanying thunder around his thunder essence were complete. As they rotated, they formed a thunder tattoo in Wang Lin's right eye. The moment the thunder tattoo took shape, an indescribable thunder force erupted from Wang Lin's body like an endless volcano eruption. As the thunderous rumble echoed, a giant illusionary gate suddenly appeared before the gobsmacked cultivators on the planet. This gate was boundless and seemed to be part of heaven itself. It was like the door of the heavens, and if one could open it, they could leave this world. Third step, Great Void Gate. Some of the cultivators immediately recognized it, and their expressions changed. Disbelief filled their faces. The moment the door appeared, Wang Lin clearly felt the indescribable power coming from it. It was as if everything he had was nothing but dust compared to it. Even if I can break it, I have to try. International Children's Day brings tears and wishing for the like button for the video. Chapter 1369. Thunder Tattoo Shakes the Heavens. At this moment, Wang Lin no longer hid himself but raised his hand and pulled down. The restriction hiding him was ripped open and he revealed himself to the world. The thunder essence shined brightly in his right eye in the shape of the thunder tattoo, and Wang Lin let out a roar. My thunder essence, break open this gate. Thunder tattoo appear. The moment he spoke, bright light appeared in his eye and charged out from his body. A giant thunder tattoo 1,000 feet tall appeared. The thunder tattoo rumbled loudly and triggered the thunder of the world. It was the Lord of Thunder. It was the thunder tattoo Wang Lin had created by condensing his thunder cultivation. Break open this gate for me, Wang Lin roared as he raised his hand as if he was supporting the thunder tattoo. Then he charged at the giant gate. Wang Lin had already become a bolt of thunder. His body, his origin soul, his mind, his everything had turned into a bolt of thunder, a bolt of heaven-defying thunder. This thunder rumbled as it rushed toward the great void gate. It moved faster and faster as it got closer. The tens of thousands of cultivators were all motionless as they stared at the scene. They were frozen from fear and their minds were trembling. After opening this door, Wang Lin could reach the third step. Wang Lin instantly closed in on the gate, and the thunder tattoo mercilessly slammed into the gate. A heaven-shaking rumble echoed across the world. Even space itself trembled and spread far away. Wang Lin's thunder suddenly landed on the gate and began an indescribable collapse. This force could rip the world apart. It contained Wang Lin's thunder essence and all the accompanying thunder. As the rumble echoed, the thunder suddenly collapsed. Wang Lin's body appeared, and he coughed out a large amount of blood. His body was knocked back by the repelling force and he fell to the ground. The great void gate didn't move at all. Wang Lin suddenly got up and charged out once more with a roar. His hands formed seals and the thunder tattoo appeared once more. The thunder in his body surged into the thunder tattoo, causing it to grow into tens of thousands of feet tall. He let out a roar as he charged at the great void gate. "Open for me. Open." Wang Lin's voice spread across the cultivation planet and shook the hearts of the 100,000 cultivators here. They were stunned as Wang Lin charged at the great void gate once more. They were terrified. If it was them, they wouldn't have the courage to go all out like this. Thunderous rumbles echoed across the world and a shockwave spread out. Wang Lin's thunder collapsed once more and popping sounds echoed from his body. He coughed out blood. His body was a bloody mess, and he fell back to the ground once more. The great void gate didn't change at all. Not a hint of it opening appeared, and it was about to disappear from the world. "I won't give up like this." Wang Lin's eyes were bloodshot and filled with madness. As the gate was about to disappear, he rushed out once more. His hands formed a seal, and the thunder from the sky and earth began to surge toward him. "I am the Lord of Thunder. All thunder in this starry sky, gather for me." As Wang Lin's words echoed, all the thunder on the planet gathered toward him. Thunder even came from outside the planet from 50 kilometers, 500 kilometers, 5,000 kilometers, 50,000 kilometers, 500, 0,000 kilometers, 5 million kilometers away. Endless thunder appeared within 5 million kilometers of where Wang Lin was and charged toward him. At this instant, Wang Lin had become a huge vortex and attracted all the thunder to come to him. The thunder surged into his body and formed a giant thunder tattoo hundreds of thousands of feet tall. The thunder tattoo rumbled. It contained Wang Lin's unwillingness. After it appeared, it charged at the gate for the third time as Wang Lin roared. The thunder was heaven-shaking when it collided with the great void gate that was about to dissipate. At this moment, Wang Lin's body trembled violently and the thunder tattoo collapsed. An indescribable shock spread out like crazy. Wang Lin coughed out blood and blood exploded from his body. He was knocked far away by the shockwave. However, the motionless gate also rumbled and unexpectedly opened just a small crack after being hit by the bolts of thunder that contained Wang Lin's heaven-defying will. Although this gap was very small, it did open. Although it was far from opening completely, this gave Wang Lin hope. The boundless gate slowly dissipated. Wang Lin's body was pushed by the impact and he landed loudly on the ground. After a brief moment of silence, it was unknown who shouted first, but everyone's gazes gathered on the spot where Wang Lin had fallen. "Kill!" This person didn't succeed in breaking into the third step and is seriously injured. Killing him will be great merit. He is the person who destroyed the Scatter Thunder clan. Kill him and your name will spread across the ancient star system. This person is powerful, so we can give him the chance to recover. We must kill him immediately. As murderous roars echoed, the 10,000 cultivators began to move. They used spells and treasures as they charged at Wang Lin. The sky was covered by the light of treasures and spells. They formed a destructive aura that charged at Wang Lin. There was a flash of coldness in his eyes. Although he was injured, with his cunning, he was already prepared. When the attacks arrived, Wang Lin pressed down on the ground and lifted it with a roar. The entire mountain range rumbled and thunder filled the area. Wang Lin rushed into the air, and the mountain rose up into the air with him. Countless fierce beasts escaped in panic, and large amounts of trees collapsed. setting off a monstrous dust cloud. This scene was so shocking that it caused terror to appear in the eyes of the surrounding cultivators once more. This scene was enough to shock anyone. The mountain range was covered in thunder and was lifted into the air. Wang Lin let out a roar as he waved his hand, and the mountain range split into countless thunder mountains that scattered in all directions. Treasures and spells collided with the countless thunder mountains, creating a thunderous rumble. Large amounts of cultivators weren't able to dodge fast enough and were hit by the thunder mountains. They coughed out blood and their bodies collapsed. Some people's origin souls completely disintegrated as well. However, if this was all, it wouldn't show Wang Lin's methods. Although Wang Lin was injured, he had been injured by the Great Void Gate, and his thunder cultivation had to reach the peak of Nirvana Shatterer to be able to summon the Great Void Gate. Ordinary cultivators were not worth taking seriously in his eyes. Thunder mountains, contain my thunder and turn into sealing thunder to seal all of them. Although this is not enough to seal you all for life, it's enough for me to leave. Wang Lin smiled as he waved his hand, and endless thunder fused into the countless thunder mountains. As the rumbles echoed, the countless mountains descended from above on top of the cultivators. They all connected together and fell on these cultivators. The 10,000 cultivators were terrified and were about to scatter. However, thunder surrounded them, distorting the origin energy of the world and preventing them from escaping. The countless mountains descended from the sky and landed on the ground, completely sealing the 10,000 cultivators below it. These people were at various cultivation levels, and Wang Lin obviously couldn't fight them, so he had borrowed the thunder mountains to seal them. Right now, thunderous rumbles echoed as the cultivators attempted to break the thunder mountains that were sealing them. The thunder mountains rumbled violently and large amounts of rocks fell off. It seemed like they could collapse at any moment and allow the 10,000 cultivators sealed under them to break free. Wang Lin sneered as thunder flashed in his right eye, and the thunder tattoo appeared once more. The moment it appeared, heavenly thunder appeared, and Wang Lin pressed his hand down. The thunder tattoo split into countless parts and imprinted on the countless thunder mountains. It was like a rune was placed for the real seal to start working. Using countless thunder mountains to seal 10,000 cultivators would make Wang Lin famous. When the thunder tattoo landed, the mountains no longer trembled. They became even more stable. Some angry roars could still vaguely come out from below the mountains, but they couldn't break out of the seal in a short period of time. Wang Lin's face was pale. He was injured by the Great Void Gate and then had to seal 10,000 cultivators, so he was exhausted. This is merely the start of the ancient star system's hunt. I can stay here. Wang Lin's body flickered and he took a step forward. Ripples echoed as he disappeared using spatial bending. Even the completion of my thunder essence can open that barrier to the third step. Can open the Great Void Gate. Wang Lin's figure reappeared, and he immediately took another step. However, if one thunder essence isn't enough, then I'll use 2 complete essences to smash it. If 2 aren't enough, I don't believe 5 complete essences can open the Great Void Gate. At that time, I'll instantly reach the third step and even be considered a powerhouse in the third step. Wang Lin's eyes were cold and determined as he disappeared once more. Quickly approaching 3,900 words, Leo fierce as a tiger. Wishing for sharing, for likes on the video, for channel followers. You are listening to a completely free audiobook on the Leo Audio YouTube channel. If you enjoy the story, please like the video to motivate the channel. Support Leo with a cup of coffee through the description link or on the screen. If you want to hear any other stories, just comment and let Leo know. Thank you very much for watching the video. Chapter 1370.
I was wrong about him.
Shortly after Wang Lin released the thunder tattoo, the popping sounds of the thunder moving across the mountains echoed, and the roars of the 100,000 cultivators sealed there became even weaker. It was as if they had been completely sealed and no more sound could come out. The thunder tattoo imprinted on the mountains gave off a ghostly light and a faint heaven's might. After a long time, ripples appeared in the sky above the mountains, and a person walked out. He was a middle-aged man wearing green, and the moment he appeared, his pupils shrank. He wasn't looking at the mountains, but at the sky. It just appeared before Void Gate. This is the aura of the Void Gate. It can be wrong. The middle-aged man looked very gloomy as he gazed at the sky like he was looking for something. The Void Gate hasn't been opened. Otherwise, my original body would have noticed a cultivator that can make the void gate appear interesting. No wonder the Sovereign Council would be so generous as to take out a rank Tao spirit. The middle-aged man was Master Simo's avatar. He wasn't in a rush before. He had made his way here slowly and didn't care too much about the capture. However, now, everything changed, and he became more serious. After withdrawing his gaze, Master Simo looked at the mountain below him and his pupils shrank again. He took a deep breath and stared at the thunder tattoo imprinted on the mountains. His expression became even more serious. He is a thunder cultivator. He is trying to become a third-step cultivator as a thunder cultivator. This throughout the ages, thunder cultivators have had the most difficult time reaching the third step. Thunder is a power of the heavens, and even in the Scatter Thunder clan, only one person has ever reached the third step. He also stopped at the early stage of Nirvana Void, but if he went crazy and summoned heavenly thunder, even mid-stage Nirvana Void cultivators would have a headache dealing him with. No wonder he wanted to destroy the Scatter Thunder clan. His purpose must have been the Eternal Thunderbolt in the Scatter Thunder clan. After devouring the Eternal Thunderbolt, he triggered the appearance of the Void Gate. Master Simo's expression was gloomy, and he roughly guessed what had happened. What is even more terrifying is that even after he tried to break the Void Gate, he had the power to fuse the thunder with the mountains to seal 100. 0,000 cultivators. This kind of feat can be accomplished by someone ordinary. He must have planned this all along. Only someone who is extremely calm and calculating can do this. Master Simo took a deep breath, and a mysterious light shined in his eyes. He gained a strong interest in Wang Lin. Hunting an ancient god already made me excited, and now I can hunt a cultivator like this. Good. Master Simo laughed and didn't even help the 100,000 cultivators below before he turned around to leave. However, just as he turned, he suddenly trembled and turned back around. He carefully looked at the void where the void gate had appeared. Something's not right. For the first time, horror and disbelief appeared on his face, along with doubt and shock. There is none. There is no aura of Joss flames. Master Simo paused for a moment and waved his right hand. The wind howled and filled the world, forming a giant image. This image clearly showed Wang Lin charging at the void gate 3 times and how he sealed the 100,000 cultivators. Staring at this dumbfoundedly, Master Simo's face immediately turned pale. He didn't use any Joss flames. There isn't even a trace of Joss flames on him. He actually didn't rely on Joss flames, but caused the void gate to appear only by the completion of his essence. This is unheard of, and he actually opened the void gate by a sliver. How is this possible? No one can complete their essence without the use of Joss flames. No one can trigger the void gate without the use of Joss flames. Master Simo gradually hid the terror in his eyes and replaced it with calm and peace. He then took a step forward and moved at a speed several times faster than when he came, anxiously pursuing Wang Lin through the trail Wang Lin had left. At the moment Wang Lin's thunder essence reached completion and summoned the void gate, in the Blue Silk clan, Tao Master Blue Dream's hands over the zither suddenly trembled. He raised his head, waved his sleeves, and charged out of the room. Li Qianmei was sitting on a chair and looking at her father, but she didn't say a word. However, the confusion in her eyes was gone, and was replaced with clarity. It seemed she had remembered a lot. She then gently stood up and walked out. The moment Tao Master Blue Dream walked out from the room, he waved his right hand. Endless blue light filled the sky and rapidly condensed into moving pictures. The pictures contained Wang Lin's 3 attempts to break the void gate. Tao Master Blue Dream stared at the pictures and carefully examined them. His expression gradually became more solemn, and in the end he was filled with shock. This was a very rare expression to appear on Tao Master Blue Dream's face. Your father underestimated a person. This is the first time I've been wrong after a long time. Tao Master Blue Dream let out a sigh, and disbelief still remained in his eyes. You will continue to be wrong. No one can see through his future. Even if you read one of the 5 masters of the ancient star system, you still can. Li Qianmei looked at the man attempting to break the void gate in the pictures and smiled gently. Are you blaming your father? Tao Master Blue Dream looked at his own daughter with a complicated expression. Li Qianmei shook her head and softly said, I haven't recovered all of my memories, just a bit. If I had really forgotten him, then it would have been best we never meet again. However, since I remember some, I want T let it go when my memory is restored, I'll go find him. The woman that had divined Wang Lin's position was cultivating on the island at the center of the lake when Wang Lin triggered the void gate. The many flowers and plants all withered and quickly collapsed. The lake around the island became violent, forming a vortex around the island. The woman's eyes suddenly opened, revealing a mysterious and shocking light. The first is the sign flowers withering. The second sign is the lake turning to a vortex. The third sign is thunder descending. The fourth sign is the sea of fire. The fifth sign is the island splitting. The sixth sign is the ancestral remains shattering. As the woman spoke, the sky rumbled and a bolt of thunder descended on the hill of the island. It was heaven shaking. This caused the expression of the woman in black to change greatly. The ancestor passed down 9 signs, and now 3 of them have appeared. There was a star domain in the ancient star system with many cultivation planets. More than 1,000 planets filled this vast star domain. This was a very famous place in the ancient star system called the Fallen Land. A total of 372 small clans lived in this dense area, and it was extremely chaotic. Due to the chaos, traders of large clans or those that had provoked powerful enemies would gather here. Then more and more people gradually gathered here until it formed a force that can be underestimated. Normally, the Sovereign Council wouldn't allow such a place to exist, and because it harbored a large amount of traders, it was hated by many clans. However, over the countless, very few people dared to attack this place. About 20,000 years ago, a large clan was hunting a trader. When they saw the trader enter this place, they didn't stop, but charged in. However, the moment they entered, a gust of wind blew by. The nearly 1,000 cultivators from the large clan immediately died. This was just one of the rumors. Another was that one of the 5 masters, Devil Master 9 Heavens, once secretly came here. However, he was forced to retreat with serious injuries and had set an oath to never take half a step into the Fallen Land. There was another rumor. It stated that millions of years ago, someone stole something from the Sovereign Council but escaped here. Even the Sovereign Council was unexpectedly afraid, and after setting a 100-year agreement, they retreated. These various things made the Fallen Land mysterious, and few people knew its secrets. However, in turn, large amounts of cultivators sought refuge here for various reasons. This Fallen Land gradually became very lively and became the largest trading hub in the ancient star system. Various treasures were traded here. At this moment, Wang Lin was sitting inside a cave on a planet without much spiritual energy in the Fallen Land. This cave took up a portion of a mountain, and he was the only one inside. Wang Lin had long decided to enter the Fallen Land. He naturally knew of this place after devouring the memories of so many ancient star system cultivators. Now that he was being hunted by the ancient star system order, this was a relatively safe place. After all, the Sovereign Council didn't control this place, so the order couldn't be passed here. Although even though this place wasn't completely safe, the same could be said about the other places in the ancient star system. Out there he would continue to be hunted, and eventually, even third-step cultivators would make their move. As a result, there was no difference where he went. The Fallen Land only took pills and treasures. The stranger the better. Even large amounts of origin crystals were sold. Wang Lin had traded some pills in exchange for 100 years of residence in this cave. Wang Lin had been cultivating here for the past several days, and had devoured pills to help his injuries recover. As for his physical injuries, due to the toughness of his ancient god body, he had almost recovered. On this day, while his eyes were closed, his expression changed and he slowly opened his eyes. A figure appeared at the entrance of the cave and quickly entered. Tears streaming long, wishing for the like button for the video. Chapter 1371. I can endure it. Master, I have returned. Pills cost the most here, far more than treasures. There is also a type of puppet here. Although it's not strong, it's very popular. One only needs to imprint their divine sense on it to be able to control it at will. Zhong Big Red was very excited as he spoke. When Wang Lin arrived here, he had let Zhong Big Red out and sent him to gather some information. Zhong Big Red was from the ancient star system, so it wouldn't be suspicious for him to go out. Also, I found nothing about the ancient star system order, so Master can rest assured. After releasing Zhong Big Red, Wang Lin had used a spell to check his heart. After all, Wang Lin had destroyed the Scatter Thunder clan, and he wasn't sure what ideas Zhong Big Red might have. However, what Wang Lin found strange was that Zhong Big Red unexpectedly had almost no feelings toward the Scatter Thunder clan. From his view, the clan had never helped him, and because of the Thunder Crystal he had to constantly offer tribute. In his early years, he had relied on himself to rise to his current cultivation level, and he saw how vicious the people in the clan were to each other, so he felt no sense of loyalty. Therefore, after learning he could grow stronger by following Wang Lin, he chose to leave the Scatter Thunder clan without hesitation. Although the Scatter Thunder clan was destroyed, there were a lot of people who had left the clan over the countless years and lived elsewhere. It wouldn't be a surprise for people of the Scatter Thunder clan to appear in the fallen land. Wang Lin softly asked, "Puppet?" Zhong Big Red became spirited and quickly said, "Master, this puppet is very expensive here and is made from unknown materials. It can display the power of a normal cultivator and even has divine sense. It is wondrous." Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged. He was interested in the puppet. After pondering a bit, Wang Lin slowly asked, "Is there any news on the Fire Sparrow clan?" "There aren't many Fire Sparrow clan members here, and I didn't encounter any on this planet. However, after gathering some information, they are mostly gathered on a fire attribute planet nearby. As for the specifics, this little one isn't too familiar, but I should get a clear idea soon." Zhong Big Red patted his chest as he spoke. Wang Lin's eyes shined an indiscernible amount. Although his thunder essence was complete, the accompanying thunders were still a bit flawed. However, he was confident in fixing this. The reason he was still in the ancient star system was for his fire essence. In order to complete his fire essence and awaken the vermilion bird again, he needed to absorb a large amount of fire. The Fire Sparrow clan was Wang Lin's first choice, and he wouldn't easily let them go. However, he wouldn't get lucky with the Fire Sparrow clan like he did with the Scatter Thunder clan and receive help breaking through all the obstacles. It also wasn't realistic to blend into the Fire Sparrow clan to approach the core of the clan. Wang Lin originally planned to do this, but he was now being hunted by the entire ancient star system. It was very likely that before he could get into the core of the Fire Sparrow clan, the people hunting him would arrive. Although this was the case, Wang Lin did think of a strange method. If he succeed, he could completely devour the fire from the Fire Sparrow clan. "Zhong Big Red, take my pills and buy a puppet." Wang Lin pondered a bit before waving his right hand, causing 3 pills to appear. A burst of fragrance filled the cave. Zhong Big Red stared at the pills and swallowed hard before respectfully receiving them. Holding the pills, Zhong Big Red revealed a flattering smile and whispered, "Master, there are also cultivation furnaces being sold, should this little one." Wang Lin frowned, causing Zhong Big Red to shut up and quickly leave. After leaving the cave, Zhong Big Red's clothes became covered in sweat. Although following Wang Lin was a big opportunity, that frown had terrified Zhong Big Red. "When I was in Master S storage space, that Shu Li Guo was too vicious. He constantly bullied me because his cultivation level is higher. I'll remember this. Once my cultivation level increases, I'll definitely get my revenge. As long as I properly serve Master, that day won't be far away." Zhong Big Red held the pills and flew off into the distance. He had been here for several days. Relying on his invincible art and his clever nature, he had made friends with quite a few of the lower-ranked cultivators. Soon, he arrived outside a valley and clasped his hands. "Big brother Zhang, little brother Zhong is here to visit." This valley was very quiet and was filled with thorn plants. At a glance, it was desolate and filled with yin energy. There were also scattered animal bones on the ground that formed a formation. There was a cave in the inner part of the valley. There was no door to the cave, but a black fog covered the entrance, making it impossible to see inside. After Zhong Big Red spoke, a strange laugh came from the cave and the black fog shot into the sky. At the same time, a skinny old man wearing a black robe walked out from the cave. This old man's hair was a mess, and his body was like a bag of bones. His eyes were bloodshot, and he looked extremely scary. The skinny old man floated next to Zhong Big Red and said, "So it's little brother Zhong. You said earlier that you had to return to your master. I didn't expect you to return so fast." Zhong Big Red's expression remained neutral and he smiled. He waved his right hand and took out one of the 3 pills Wang Lin had given him. He flicked one directly toward the skinny old man. The old man's eyes suddenly narrowed, and he took a closer look. His expression immediately changed, and ecstasy filled his eyes. This is a high-quality pill. It is extremely suitable for my cultivation and extremely hard to find. Little brother Zhong, this. Zhong Big Red laughed and clasped his hands. No harm, this kind of pill is useless to master. Little brother sees that big brother has been at the mid-stage of soul formation for a long time, and I presume you need the pill. Just accept it. The skinny old man took a deep breath and was no longer polite as he quickly put the pills away. He looked at Zhong Big Red and whispered, Little brother Zhong, your master-S cultivation level? Could it? The old man hesitated a bit before saying, could he be at the yin and yang stage? Zhong Big Red expected this person to talk about his master, so his expression immediately turned respectful and he whispered, My master-S cultivation is heaven-piercing and even I don't know the exact cultivation level. However, I've seen master kill Nirvana Scryer cultivators with one blow. The skinny old man sucked in a breath of cold air, and he didn't dare to try to find out if this was the truth or a lie. It didn't matter if it was true or not. Someone who could casually take out pills like this was not someone he could provoke. Little brother Zhong is fortunate to follow such a master. Your cultivation will definitely soar in the future. Don't forget your big brother then. The skinny old man's eyes were filled with envy as he clasped his hands. Zhong Big Red clasped his hands and laughed. Naturally. In fact, I came out this time to ask big brother Zhong for help. Little brother can ask. As long as I can do it, I'll help. He had met Zhong Big Red several days ago. This person was obviously very rich, and the pills Zhong Big Red had made his eyes red. He wanted to steal from him, but he was cautious. After gathering some information, he had learned that Zhong Big Red had a master. Someone who could make a soul formation cultivator his servant was not someone he could fight, so he had suppressed his greed. Zhong Big Red was also good at flattering and gave out a lot of pills. Just like this, the two gradually became acquainted, with their own agendas in mind. Originally, this old man was still suspicious, but seeing how Zhong Big Red's master could casually hand out pills like this, he felt Zhong Big Red's master had become a lot more mysterious. Earlier, Big Brother Zhang mentioned the puppet, and little brother went back to tell master. My master is interested in buying a puppet. Big brother Zhang knows little brother is new and unfamiliar with this place. I hope big brother Zhang can help me on this, and once this matter is done, they will definitely thank you. Zhong Big Red's eyes lit up, and he smiled as he looked at the skinny old man. After the old man heard this, he hesitated and whispered, Brother Zhong, this puppet is not easy to buy if we were on the main planet. It'd be easy, but here. The Dark Scorpion clan controls the trade on puppets. They are extremely domineering, and the price is several times higher. Are you sure you want to buy? Seeing Zhong Big Red nodding, the skinny old man pondered for a bit before clenching his teeth. Okay then, I'll take you there once. After he spoke, he led the way and they charged off into the distance. There was a ruined city on the western area of the planet. It looked to be in disrepair, with the walls broken in many places, but it was extremely lively. A large amount of cultivators moved about there. The skinny old man was obviously very familiar with this place. He led Zhong Big Red to a relatively complete building, and they carefully walked inside. The hall was at the center of the city, but very few cultivators were here. It was as if the cultivators dreaded the hall and didn't dare to casually enter. They would often go around it. Zhong Big Red and the old man's figures were seen by many people. A lot of them secretly shook their heads. The moment they entered the hall, Zhong Big Red's body trembled as he felt cold energy come from all directions. He couldn't withstand it at all with his cultivation, so it immediately entered his body. It was as if a big hammer had slammed down on his heart, and he immediately coughed out a mouthful of blood. The old man was a bit better, but his face was pale. He quickly kneeled on the ground and said, Juniors have no ill intent, we just want to buy a puppet. The hall was very large, and there was a statue in the center. This statue was dark, and it was a statue of a scorpion. It had its tail raised and gave off a chilling aura. The cold energy that made Zhong Big Red cough out blood came from this scorpion. Want to buy puppet? What can two little soul formation cultivators like you have to buy puppets? A cold voice echoed as a person walked out from the back of the hall. This person wore black and looked around 40 years old. He had a gloomy expression and a look of contempt in his eyes. There was a ferocious scorpion mark between his eyebrows. This scorpion was lifelike and looked almost alive. The tail unexpectedly swayed and gave off a demonic feeling. Zhong Big Red took a deep breath and quickly bowed. He took out the pill Wang Lin had given him and respectfully said, "Junior wishes to use this pill to trade for a puppet." The middle-aged man's expression remained the same, and his right hand reached out. The pill flew into his hand. He casually looked at it. However, his eyes immediately changed, and he completely ignored Zhong Big Red and the old man. He quickly sniffed the pill. Then his divine sense spread out, and his pupils shrank. It's actually a soul pill. The middle-aged man's gaze fell on Zhong Big Red. Then he slowly said, "How many more do you have?" Zhong Big Red bitterly smiled and said, "There is only one." As he spoke, he didn't even wait for the other to ask, and took it out himself. Holding the two pills, the middle-aged man was still sizing Zhong Big Red up. After a long time, he withdrew his gaze. He believed that the person in front of him must have gotten very lucky. These pills were rare, and two were already a lot. After nodding, the middle-aged man waved his hand. His clan mark shined, and a puppet that looked exactly like a real person appeared before them. There was no clan mark between the puppet's eyebrows, and it had a dull expression. There was no intelligence and no vitality, only a gloomy aura. Its cultivation level was about early-stage soul formation. These two pills can only exchange for this puppet. The two of you can scram. The middle-aged man turned around and quickly walked into the depths of the hall. It wasn't until he left that Zhong Big Red and the old man looked at each other. They both saw the fear in each other's eyes. Zhong Big Red felt regret. He didn't think that just trading for a puppet would result in them encountering a life-and-death crisis. He quickly collected the puppet and left with the skinny old man. As for the middle-aged man, after entering the temple, he took a step and sunk into the ground. There was another world hidden underground. There was tower hidden underground, and the hall was merely the top. This was the second floor, and it also had a scorpion statue, but there was a young man sitting on top of it. As the young man was cultivating, he seemed to be absorbing power from the statue. When the middle-aged man arrived, he opened his eyes. "Young master, earlier, two soul formation cultivators brought these two pills." The middle-aged man quickly handed over the pills. The aloof young man picked them up, and after looking at them, he slowly said, "Soul pills, the rank is ordinary, but the soul is not bad. No need to make such a fuss. As for the two little cultivators, capture one and injure the other. Leave a divine sense mark and see where he goes. Don't bother me with such trifle matter in the future." The young man closed his eyes and no longer paid attention to this. The middle-aged man bowed and then disappeared. Zhong Big Red and the skinny old man quickly left the city. In the sky, the old man wryly smiled and said, "Little brother Zhong, the dark scorpion clan is extremely domineering, and no one on this planet dares to provoke them. We were lucky to be able to trade for the puppet." If the old man didn't get to finish speaking before his pupil shrank and he looked ahead. Zhong Big Red trembled and his scalp felt numb. He didn't hesitate to charge forward and escape. There was a cold snort, and shortly after, two rays of black light shot out. One of them shot toward the old man. He wasn't able to resist at all and was immediately captured. The other ray of black light instantly caught up to Zhong Big Red and landed on his back. His face immediately turned black, and he coughed out blood as he escaped like crazy. The middle-aged man from the dark scorpion clan appeared and coldly looked at where Zhong Big Red disappeared to. He turned around and grabbed the unconscious old man before returning to the dark scorpion clan's main hall. Zhong Big Red's face was extremely pale. The life-and-death situation he had just faced had taught that this place was far more dangerous than the Scatter Thunder clan. The pills attracted too much attention. Alas, I handled this wrong. Not only did I hurt fellow cultivator Zhang, but I almost caused a calamity. Zhong Big Red flew at top speed toward Wang Lin's cave. Cultivation! If I had a higher cultivation level, a cultivation level like Shu Legal S, this would not have turned out like this. I, Zhong Big Red, must become strong. Zhong Big Red clenched his teeth, filled with determination. An hour later, Wang Lin's cave appeared before him. After landing on the mountain, Zhong Big Red revealed a bitter expression and walked toward the entrance. He coughed out another mouthful of blood when he landed. Wang Lin was cultivating and opened his eyes the moment Zhong Big Red walked in. His eyes shined like bright lights as he looked at Zhong Big Red. Wang Lin slowly asked, "Where's the puppet?" Zhong Big Red's face was pale, and he silently waved his hand. The puppet appeared. Wang Lin's right hand reached out, and the puppet flew toward him before stopping before him. Wang Lin carefully looked at it, and his eyes revealed a strange light. This thing a moment later, Wang Lin withdrew his gaze and put the puppet away. Then he casually asked, "How did you get injured?" Zhong Big Red pondered for a long time, and then softly told him everything that had happened. In the end, he saw Wang Lin's expression become more gloomy, and he bitterly said, "Master, I was reckless on this matter. If I had controlled the information better, this wouldn't have happened. At least I got the puppet and completed Master's order. As for my injury, I will be able to recover after going into closed-door cultivation for a period of time." He saw that Wang Lin didn't speak, and when Wang Lin's expression became even more gloomy, his heart trembled. He whispered, "Master escaped to the fallen land to escape pursuit. This little one can endure." Before he finished speaking, he heard Wang Lin let out a cold snort, and his face turned even more pale. What a poisonous method. No matter how much time you spend in closed-door cultivation, you can easily recover. That person broke the trajectory of the cultivation in your body, and also left a divine sense imprint. Zhong Big Red's body trembled, and he clenched his fists. However, he quickly loosened his fists and silently pondered. "You my subordinate. You can endure it, but I can Wang Lin got up and walked toward the exit. Zhong Big Red suddenly looked up and stared at Wang Lin. His eyes couldn't help but turn red, and he whispered, "Master." Wang Lin didn't turn around, but coldly said, "Lead the way." Zhong Big Red took a deep breath and killing intent appeared in his eyes. Without hesitation, he led Wang Lin toward the city. Wang Lin thought that he was too slow and grabbed him. They moved like lightning and caused thunderous rumbles as they charged toward the city. All the cultivators on the cultivation planet felt a tremble in their souls. The sky changed colors, the earth trembled, and the clouds scattered. In only a moment, Wang Lin had brought Zhong Big Red to the broken city. He loosened his hand and allowed Zhong Big Red to float beside him. Zhong Big Red was excited as he pointed at the city and whispered, "Master, the Dark Scorpion clan is there." Wang Lin's eyes glowed like torches as he looked at the city below him. "This city will be destroyed in 3 breaths. People not related, quickly leave." His voice was like thunder descending on the city. The sound created a blast that caused the city below to tremble and kick up a large amount of dust. The expressions of the cultivators in the city all changed greatly, and some even coughed out blood. Then they frantically escaped the city. Inside the main hall, the middle-aged man was sitting there while the old man named Zhang was filled with fear, begging for mercy. Just as he was about to continue, Wang Lin's voice echoed. The middle-aged man's eyes suddenly opened in shock and he coughed out blood. He immediately stood up. Not only him, but all the Dark Scorpion clan cultivators cultivating in the tower opened their eyes and stood up in shock. Even the young man in the second floor trembled, and his face turned pale. The voice had penetrated the earth and landed directly here, shaking the tower. 3 breaths of time passed by in an instant and Wang Lin's right hand pressed down. Thunderous rumbles echoed as endless thunder gathered from all directions, forming a giant thundernet. It descended on the city as Wang Lin's hand pressed down. The endless thunder created a scene that shocked the hearts of all the cultivators escaping from the city. With a thunderous bang, the earth trembled violently and the thunder net fell. The entire city collapsed. Even the tower collapsed, and the entire city became a ruin. Countless cracks more than 1,000 feet deep appeared. This caused the tower hidden under the earth to reveal more than half of itself. The top of the tower had already collapsed, and the old man named Zhang was looking at the sky. He saw Zhong Big Red and his mind trembled. He is Zhong Big Red's master. The middle-aged man next to the old man named Zhang was gobsmacked. This was so sudden he didn't even have time to react. Wang Lin slowly descended and floated where the collapsed roof was. Zhong Big Red followed Wang Lin with excitement in his eyes. Wang Lin pointed at the middle-aged man and looked at Zhong Big Red. "Was it him who hurt you?" The like button for the VIDEO is in danger. Urgently wishing for the like button for the VIDEO's aid.